The 24-hour store was empty at this time of day, a perfect opportunity to take a break. But it was not meant to be. A pack of cigarettes was carelessly thrown onto the checkout counter. "Give me back my money," the woman in the shabby sweater grumbled insolently. The young student looked like easy prey, but instead he started demanding the check. Crossing her arms over her chest, she began to demand money even more insistently. "Just cigarettes. Why unnecessary checks?" She got angry. When a young student asked her about the reasons for the return, the woman completely lost her temper, slammed her hand on the table, and spat saliva, demanding her way. But the guy didn't flinch. He stood his ground. He needed a receipt confirming the purchase in the store, to which the grumpy woman just waved him off. The student completely refused. The impudent woman sarcastically said, "You need to take all your documents with you when you leave the house." "But no one throws them away," the boy objected. He was quite tired of these loud attacks. What if these cigarettes were bought around the corner, somewhere cheaper? How can he trust her without a receipt? The student objected to her directly. Did he just call her a liar? The aunt was indignant. She played well as if she were deeply offended. "I'll bombard you with complaints." "No respect," she screamed, her shrieks ringing in his ears. It's good that there are no other visitors, the guy thought. The fly swatter hit the cash register counter right in front of her. "Damn annoying flies, they just keep coming." The boy cheerfully waved away the non-existent flies. Realizing that the scam had failed, the woman quickly retreated to look for another victim, leaving the empty pack at the checkout. "There are so many crooks, you have to keep an eye on them," the boy thought, watching the citizen. "You're lazing around at work, lazy bones," his friend said after returning from his workout. "Were you working as a punching bag again?" the guy asked, looking at his friend's face. If only he could see the other guy's face. It was just sparring, his friend bragged. "You're so busy. You go to extra classes and you even train," the boy muttered enviously. "But he also works and studies," the friend objected. They beat him up, but he's as happy as an elephant. "He likes the pain that way," the student asked. "He performed shadow boxing." "Words cannot describe it," said a friend. "If he tried it at least once, he would immediately understand." "He was famous at school, so why not try mixed martial arts?" a friend suggested. "But that's just fighting," the student dismissed. "Didn't you do a lot of work before?" insisted a friend. Because he knows well what he is talking about, the boy looked away. So, he hasn't let go of his past, thought his friend, looking at the cashier. No, the buddy resigned himself, changing the subject so as not to embarrass the boy. "Come and cheer," the student heard and was surprised. "There will be a fight," he asked. A professional match, his friend proudly declared, in a fight club, was bursting with excitement. "If he wins, will he really become a pro?" asked his friend. "It seems quite easy," he said. And his friend could not stand it. "So much work, it is not easy," his friend objected. "It sounds cool." That's what he wanted, the boy answered with a hint of sadness. That was once his dream too. "And he really is still worried about it," his friend noted, but remained silent. "Come see it, it's better than on the screen," they offered the guy, and he agreed. "Excellent." My friend was not discouraged and patted him on the back with a strong hand. "If that's the case, go to work." The student waved goodbye and went home. The cool night air refreshed his thoughts. How long had it been since he had thought about this? Huisung asked himself. This slob will become a pro, the guy thought. Sounds not bad. On the day of the fight, he arrived early and found the right place, near the office buildings. Huisung looked at the sign and read it several times to avoid making a mistake. What a hole, the guy thought. A banner was stretched over the entrance to the basement, and even a guard was posted, Huisung noted. It was his first time here, and he was shy to come in right away, so his friend called him right away. "I'm not lost," they answered cheerfully on the phone. "Come in since you're here," said the fighter. Just go in, Huisong realized his comrade was busy preparing. It was no better inside, a dusty, stuffy basement. So assessed with disappointment after all. This is an amateur league. "Let's watch the fight with my brother," and the guy decided to go home. There's no point in lingering within these dusty walls. As dark as a black man's pockets, Huiso walked down the narrow stairs, barely stumbling. From inside came noise, hubbub, dozens of people, shouts, music, So pushed the doors. The crowd screamed, drowning out everything else, the echo amplified by the basement acoustics. But the first thing he noticed was the fight that was already going on in the cage. One fighter just took a powerful hook to the jaw, his head snapping back. Song Hui couldn't tear his gaze away. Something stirred deep inside him. The fighter didn't slow down and swung for a hook, and he himself landed a beautiful uppercut under the solar plexus, a clean blow that knocked the sweat out of his opponent. He threw a quick right hook to finish off his opponent, but he dodged it sharply. Huiseo's heart pounded wildly inside her, sending adrenaline rushing through her veins. Another fighter raised his knee to fake a body punch. He could still fight. Instead of a low kick, he threw an upper kick, powerfully twisting his hip, and it clanged hard into the jaw. To the roar of shouts, the referee gestured to announce the end of the fight and its winner. He raised his hands in triumph. After a hard fight, he was happy with the victory. The sweet moment of victory was shared by all the spectators. Huiso felt it. The long-forgotten flame that burns in the soul of every fighter. He clenched his fists and froze in delight. A friend caught Huiseo looking at the empty octagon. I recognize that look, he thought. Are you enjoying it? He asked the guy who stood frozen like a statue. The slacker friend looked completely different. He came out with his trainers. What a look. Today we will drink beer. My friend cheerfully nudged me with his glove. It's cool here. It's not like they're beeping at the checkout with a scanner, he said. And Hui so sheepishly agreed. The atmosphere was heavy. Get ready for the fight, the bushy-browed coach interrupted their conversation. Okie dokie, nodded Jung Hwan. Let's celebrate the victory, he later confidently declared to Huiso, and walked towards the cage. Even your friend who is in better shape than you, encouraged the fighter's trainer. Jung Hwan turned around one last time and looked at his friend, who was staring tensely into the cage. He denied it so much, but he still can't take his eyes off me, he grinned. The presenter, shouting over the lively hubbub of the basement, announced the start of the next match. Blue corner Li Zhonghwan, he introduced his friend, now he looked ready to fight. Red corner, Choi Hyo Seop, a muscular fighter looked like a red-haired demon and smiled predatorily. The referee commanded the fighters to the middle of the ring, and they met. Will he be able to cope, Huiso wondered, looking at his comrade in the cage. The referee gave the command ready, blue ready, red ready, he saw. The referee gave the start to the fight, and the fighters rushed towards each other with the sound of the gong. The red-haired demon started first. He pressed with his mass. He threw heavy jabs, which Jung Hwan deftly dodged. Red hit with a wide hook over the head, but Blue managed to duck. And then he received a powerful straight left right into the block of his crossed arms. It hit like a cannon, Jung Hwan felt, and became worried. He counterattacked sharply with a left straight to break his opponent's tempo. He ignored the defense and took a punch to the jaw. Jung Hwan was nervous. He stayed in the center of the cage and exchanged blows with the red one. Too tense, Huiso noticed. Not at all like himself, he watched the exchange. Jung Hwan was hit hard. His opponent was stronger than him, but he did not give up. The red-headed one stupidly pushed forward, not at all afraid of the blows. Move so that you, Huiso exclaimed in his heart. His instincts were sounding the alarm. And not in vain, my friend missed a clean, straight left to the skull. This was bad, Huiso thought, a chill running through his body. His friend was taking too many hits. Jung Hwan's head was thrown back by the powerful blow, leaving him wide open. The guy staggered. He could no longer stand up straight. His head went blank. The red-haired demon rushed forward to finish him off at that very moment. Jung Hwan saw the blow, but didn't have time to dodge it. That's bad, he managed to think. Dodge, Huiso yelled, unable to contain his emotions. A strong right straight to the jaw knocked my friend down. The referee stepped between them and gave the command to stop as soon as Jung Hwan fell to his knees. The guy went out. His head was ringing like a bell after a blow. He couldn't come to his senses. The referee stopped the fight by crossing his arms above himself, signaling this to the judges outside the ring. What a fool, lamented Huiso, closing his eyes from worry. What is this? He heard the presenter's voice from the speakers and returned to reality. While the referee was turning away, the red-headed man pounced on the defenseless Jung Hwan. He sat on top and beat him like a piece of meat, turning him into a cutlet. The referee grabbed the idiot by the shoulders from behind and pulled him away from the defeated fighter. But the stupid bull threw the judge aside and returned to the beating. Huiso watched everything as if in slow motion, the abnormal man's fist hovering over his friend's head. He weakly moved his fingers, being deeply knocked out. The coaches were confused. The big-browed one called the staff, but everyone hesitated. Huiso didn't wait or think. He acted and quickly rushed to the cage. He didn't yet know what he would do once he was in the cage, but he took off his jacket to make it easier to move. The presenter noticed out of the corner of his eye a black shadow that darted toward the ring. What is this crazy guy doing? Stop! The presenter shouted after him. Huiso flew up the cage in one fell swoop and jumped inside like a panther. He landed deftly, distributing his weight on his arms and legs. In the far corner, his friend was being made into a cutlet with impunity. The red-haired man enjoyed the beating. Die, die, he shouted. A strong hand grabbed him by the neck so hard that it almost tore his head off. Get lost, you idiot! The redhead was slammed into the net with a powerful throw. Huiso leaned over his comrade, trying to bring him back to his senses. Who dared? The crazy red-headed man got angry, getting up. Behind him, alarmed spectators shouted, and Huiso, who was not looking there, cried out. It all happened too quickly. The red-headed man appeared out of nowhere and swung to strike. Friend, he looked bad. Didn't react to the movement in front of the gases. Damn, thought Huiso. His gaze remained empty. He had suffered quite a lot during the battle, and now even more so. Call an ambulance, Hui, So finally shouted over the noise of the crowd. He could hear faint screams from behind, through the hubbub. The red-haired man, completely out of his mind, was already advancing on him. Huiso reacted like a cat at the last second, catching the massive blow. Reflexively, he crossed his arms in front of himself to protect himself. The shot caught him on the way out, but Huiso still received a powerful push and flew to the edge of the net. He unleashed a barrage of blows on Huiso's defense, but he stood firm in his stance. As soon as he dodged, a gloved hand pinned him down. With a crunch, a knee kick broke his forearm block and even lifted him off the ground. The bushy-browed coach began to fuss again. What was happening was going beyond the pale. The cage door finally opened and people ran inside. "Sap, calm down," the red-headed man's stupid trainer whined. "A simple suspension won't end this time," he yelled at the athlete. Huiso saw clearly how the knee rose for the second strike. He opened his block and stepped to the left, easily dodging the blow. "Bastard!" Huiso muttered through his teeth in anger and clenched his fists tighter. He extended his left hand forward and took a wide stance, his right hand dropping to his belt for a strike. Got it already, the right gun fired an uppercut into the jaw of a charging bull. A bare fist struck the tower with a steel block and knocked out the idiot. "That's it!" Huiso shouted after the blow, the recoil rolling through his entire body. The bushy-browed coach stood up with his mouth open. "You don't see that every day." This surprised not only him, the manager in the black suit also froze in surprise. Just now, a simple spectator knocked out a professional fighter with one punch. "Phew," Hui Sung exhaled. Let him lie down and think about his behavior. But he didn't kill that idiot. The guy was horrified. He still hit him with his fist. At that very moment, he was knocked down by the Fight Club staff, who mistook him for an intruder. Huiso was indignant because he was not the main troublemaker, but security was already dragging him out of the ring. "A real diamond," the manager grinned, appreciating the guy's talent. Young Huan was recovering from the fight. The guy looked broken. They were breathing in the evening coolness. "What about the results of the fight now?" asked his friend Huiso. "Invalid Hui Sub is suspended from all competitions," Young Huan responded. "But there is nothing to be happy about. Since he lost the fight," his friend explained that he will not become a professional this time. "There was something he wanted to say," said the comrade, changing the subject. "Just listen, I'll tell you straight," continued Young Huan, and collected his thoughts. "It's good that he's so cheerful after everything," thought Huiso. "Do you want to try yourself in a cage?" They stunned him with the question. Young Huan handed him a piece of cardboard, and the fight organizer, Chan Yong-wung, read it to Huiso. He was struck by the spectacular knockout that Huiso performed. "This offer to make him a pro fighter," his friend explained. "Such offers don't come often," the friend insisted. "But will he be able to stand it?" asked Hui. "So he wants it and is afraid to," he thought sadly. "He had already played sports in the past and had a lot of problems," the guy replied. "So what, he'll whine now?" Young Huan remarked with annoyance. "Come on, does that oblige you to anything?" he said, and nudged his friend with his elbow. "There is nothing special about liking fights. I just came and watched one day. It was fun," said Young Huan. And now he has almost become a professional. Although he thought he would just watch, he threw up his hands. "So you're not going to give up?" Hui So asked him. Of course, he might not become a champion, but the fights drag on. His friend smiled through the pain of his broken lips. "Why else would you do it if not for fun?" he said. "You don't need a lofty dream to do what you love," he continued, and Huiso thought about it. "So that's how it is," the guy replied and got up from the bench. "I'm tired of you talking like Confucius," he said. "I still have to work hard at the market early in the morning," said Huiso. "Come on, work, lazy bones," Young Huan teased his friend. "Go to the hospital and come back to the store," So said goodbye. Young Huan watched his friend go, wondering if he understood. The broad back slowly moved away into the darkness of the night lanterns. "His place is definitely in the arena," his friend smiled, imagining it. "Ah, just imagining it makes me feel hot," he laughed. Okay, let's meet there. The manager was talking on the phone. Meeting with that very guy everyone is talking about now, he told his assistant. An ordinary guy knocked out a pro fighter. People love that kind of thing, said the assistant. And the manager agreed. He decided to invite the guy to the league. Make it a pro, the assistant was surprised. Are there any doubts? The manager asked in return. He was just lucky in the ring once. A coincidence, the bespectacled man doubted. He's just young. Is that just luck? Asked the manager. The time will come. You will learn, he answered, getting up from the table. Choi Sub is a beast, but he has good recovery abilities. Of course, he took damage after the fight. But for a healthy bull like him, Of course, he took damage after the fight. But for a healthy bull like him, this is not critical. And that's not all, he said and looked at the time. It's time to run, the manager noted. Work without me, he waved goodbye to the bespectacled man. For a pro, it's not just cage fighting skills that matter. Other qualities are important too. No one relies solely on skill. Fighters can swear and behave provocatively. Provoke your opponents, put on a real show. Their quick reactions and sense of humor allow them to control the crowd. Even if it was an offer, this guy had something to show, the manager thought. Potential to become a star of the arena. The manager smiled, recalling the last show. Hueso came to the meeting. First, it was better to find out everything, he thought. He asked the manager what was so special about it, and he offered to show it clearly and took out a desktop. He laid it out in front of the guy and played the recording after the fight. The video clearly showed how furiously the red-headed fool attacked, and how Huiso deftly dodged and counterattacked with a powerful serve. This uppercut, the manager noted. Lucky, the boy simply replied, and the manager was surprised by such modesty. He transferred his weight to his left leg, took a low stance for balance, and fixed his right arm to make it easier to turn his body, he listed. Is this just a lucky punch? The manager mimed an uppercut with his fist. It was a right uppercut from a well-trained fighter, he said. But did he hit it by accident, without aiming? The manager continued. Yes and no, answered Hui. So after thinking for a bit, and the manager didn't understand how that was possible. That big guy would have taken him out, so as soon as he opened up, Huiso hit him. What's going on, thought the manager, and asked out loud if he really saw it. His instincts were right. The guy is very capable. The manager smiled at his thoughts. He asked the guy what he had done before, and whether he had done anything at all. He played baseball for 3 years in elementary school, Huiso recalled. 6 years of freestyle wrestling in high school, the guy added. Now it's clear where such a good reaction came from, the manager said. In baseball, the ball flies much faster than the hit. Let me ask you straight, he said. Why not take up mixed martial arts? Huiso thought for a moment. He had expected such a question and had prepared himself. He would like to take up MMA, he replied to the manager, who was delighted. But the financial component leaves much to be desired, concluded Huiso. Popularity is a fickle thing. If the investment doesn't pay off, his family will be left in debt. And he doesn't want to disturb them because of his ambitions. The manager heard and thought. Okay, you want $1 million for each fight, the manager replied. This can be solved, he answered the surprised guy. There's no need to worry about equipment and other things. They'll provide it. Working several part-time jobs can earn you a good income, the manager figured. There's no such thing as a free lunch, right, Hui? So replied suspiciously. A small sparring test. If the director likes you, they'll take you into the team. The manager made an offer. If not, everything will remain as before. No risks, he said. They want to test everything, the guy realized. The decision was his. Sparring in a month. Huiso suggested after some thought whether it would be possible to change the test date. A month might not be enough. Just contact me when you're ready, the manager agreed. How about today, he heard, and almost choked on his cup of hot coffee. Today he asked again to make sure he had not misheard, and the guy nodded. Are you kidding me? He asked, thinking that something was wrong with this guy. What jokes are there? Give me your fighter, said Huiso decisively. He wants to fight today. The manager didn't expect such a turn of events. There are reasons why this needs to be done immediately, he asked the crazy boy. Does he understand that MMA is not a sport where you can be carefree? The manager added, and the guy nodded. What to expect? If he's good now. Talent isn't revealed in a month, the guy shrugged. I hear nonsense, but it sounds so convincing, the manager thought in passing. Stop your horses. First you need to find a partner, so today is definitely not the case, the agency man answered decisively. Let's postpone it for a week, anyway, to pass it. We need at least some basics, the manager said. We'll decide on this. Next week at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, he told the guy, packing his things. It's not too late to change your mind, the agent warned sternly. No problem. The cheeky guy stood his ground. Phew, the manager noted the guy with enthusiasm. The outcome of the fight is clear anyway, he said relaxedly. Okay, Hui So got up from his seat. It was time to leave. Prepare properly, the agent advised as he parted. Huiso smiled. He hadn't felt the anticipation of a competition in a long time. So this is where the Hall of Young Huan's team is. The guy came to the fashionable building. He quickly climbed up the steps, burning with impatience. And he stood hesitantly in front of the door. In new places, he was always overcome by shyness. Plucking up his courage, Huiso opened the glass door and said hello. As he held his breath, the athletes in the hall were preparing intensively. Hands closer to the body, the trainers instructed strong fighters. The sound of gloves hitting paws created a tense, yet pleasant atmosphere. Good sound, Hui, So thought as he watched the training. Why did he stand there frozen like a statue, staring at the real men? His best friend came up to him with a thick-browed trainer. That's definitely not about him, Hui So replied to his slacker friend. The browed guy introduced himself. Park Sung-hoon is the team coach. The guy followed his example, Li Hui. So they shook hands. Since his friend is a slob, you can address him informally, the bushy-browed trainer suggested. A week later, the test was heard from the coach by Jung Hwan earlier. To be honest, he thought that Hui So would refuse the fight, the coach said sternly. Change your clothes, he said to the guys, and his friend called Hui So to follow him. The eyebrow-bearer looked doubtfully after the boy. He looked too smug. It's finally starting, Hui So thought as he returned to the coach. This whole farce is a waste of time and effort. It quickly ruined the whole mood of the eyebrows. Just like that, the guy thought, when he was nailed with such directness. What can be learned in a week, even if remembered, will take weeks to practice, the coach claimed. We will learn the simplest basics, he told the boy, and he nodded decisively. What's most important in a fight? The thick-browed man continued, asking a leading question. A blow, Huiso assumed. That's right. The techniques vary, but the main thing is to inflict damage on the enemy, Park So-hoon answered sternly. The very first of them is the jab, a simple punch to determine the distance of the enemy. Bravastic delivered several quick and sharp blows to the bag. Huiso watched carefully, but he was not at all impressed by the sound. Somehow it's so simple, like stroking with your palm. The guy looked at everything skeptically. What do you think? The stern coach asked him. It turned out well, the guy nodded uncertainly. Do you really think so? Coach Pak frowned. He looks weak and clumsy, Huiso admitted honestly. Okay, how about this? The coach approached the bag again. Bravastic hit the punching bag properly, and it shook with loud pops. This is much better, the cheeky boy cheered up. And the coach agreed, that's right. But they will practice the first version of the jab, said Bravastic. In MMA, they use not only strikes, but also throws, pushes, and grabs, in which case distance plays a big role. The second type of jab requires a clear target and is mainly used in boxing. But in MMA, fighters stand in low stances and closer to each other, so there's less point in such a strike, explained the eyebrowed man. After the jab, you need to be straight. This punch is similar to a boxing punch, he instructed. Alternate them together, said Pa Song, and turned back to the pair. Do a jab and put your hand back in place. He delivered several horizontal blows. Then twist your body and extend your arm to its full extent, the bag exploding with a powerful right. After the combination, return your hand to its place on the jaw and put the front one forward. The main thing is defense. That's all the basics I see, asked the big-browed man, and waited for the cheeky boy to nod. Okay, we're done, he said, looking condescendingly at the newcomer. It's true, it's that simple, Huiso was surprised. Once you master these two strikes, half the victory is in your pocket, the thick-browed man replied. Take care of your wrist when the bag flies back. Practice until you get tired. The trainer finished the entire instruction and left the newbie. Isn't that too little? Jung Hwan asked worriedly. Is that all that's needed? The thick-browed man answered sharply. Is this teaching just a theory? Insisted the worried friend. And what will change if he is taught more thoroughly? The eyebrow-shaped man answered sternly. Just a week, even if the guy's incredibly talented, it's not enough. The coach shook his head indifferently. But he's a friend. Jung Hwan was upset. If he weren't a friend, they wouldn't even talk to him. Miracles don't happen. Train and go home, he told the athlete. A rapid series of ringing blows echoed through the hall. The bag bounced on the chains like a feather when they hit it as if from a cannon. Huiso rhythmically punched the bag without pausing or slowing down. Then he started moving around with his footwork. Managing to land punches, the guy showed great form. Afterwards, he added dodging and swung like a pendulum, delivering the same straight punches from different positions. The man with the thick eyebrows was very surprised when he said he was a newbie, but Jung Hwan himself didn't know about his friend's abilities. Huiso loaded his right and hit without swinging, rotating his body. The pair was hit by the main caliber, the echo resounding throughout the hall. Beads of sweat flew off the guy's face from the sharp blow. He was completely focused on the task at hand. How interesting, the eyebrow maker cheered up. You don't expect such work from a newbie. They moved on to pad training, Huiso landing a low kick to the shin area. The blow landed well with a loud slap on the palm. What kind of ballet is this? It's like chasing away flies. The bushy-browed trainer stopped his work. The blow is too sweeping. You need to choose one point and aim at it, the eyebrow stick corrected. Let's learn to kick quickly again, he commanded. What was that noise? They heard a low voice behind them and turned around. Work, don't get distracted. A strong man with a stubble, as if he worked on a construction site, entered the room. As the seminar progressed, the bushy-browed man came closer to say hello, and the shaggy-haired man answered him normally. He glanced at the new guy, and Park Song reminded him that this was the guy that manager Yang had his eye on. They called over the newcomer. This was the head coach, Hwang Sang-guk. The bushy-browed coach, Huiso, introduced him and bowed. I like MMA. Sang-guk looked at him inquisitively and scratched his beard. It's a paddle. I'd like to watch more tournaments, the boy replied. They looked at him so intently that he froze to the floor. Try hard, then there will be results, the head coach answered easily. Continue sweat. He waved them and left the hall so as not to distract anyone. Let's go, the eyebrow twister, Hui. So encouraged, they didn't have much time. The guy looked after the strange man, who seemed to have returned from hard work. What a fool he is, Hui. So hugged the bag, there was only 1 day left until the exhibition match. There was only 1 day left and he still hadn't landed a proper kick. What a frivolous idiot, he reproached himself, hugging the bag. If he had thought carefully, he would not have asked for just a week to prepare. I'll practice a little more, the guy decided after taking a short rest. Do you like to sit until the last minute? The head coach asked him as he left the office. How's the punch, he asked. Have you been practicing all day? And Huiso complained that it still wasn't working. The coach struck once, scratching his beard. When he tries so hard it would be a sin not to look, he thought. What, Hui? So was surprised. Isn't the uncle a bit old? The boy asked brazenly. Do as they say, Sang-guk grumbled in response. And then we'll see. Huiso obediently assumed a comfortable stance for a back kick. He swung hard and punched the bag, but the sound was still muffled. Sang-guk sighed. He immediately understood what was going on when the guy turned around. Are you hitting me with crutches or what? The old coach grumbled. You only use your legs. You don't use your abdominal muscles at all to turn your body. Of course the blow will be bad, he explained. It's like cutting yourself in half. The obliques work in tandem with the hips to add to the impact. Now Grandpa will show you how it's done, grumbled Sang-guk. Don't blink there. Tighten your abs properly, old but not useless trainer. Take a low stance. Raise your legs as soon as you start rotating your pelvis. He made a quick movement for the no longer young man. His foot went deep into the bag, completely completed, as if he were hitting with a heavy whip. Just as he had imagined, Huiso's eyes lit up. Not bad for an old man, he noticed. You rascal, stop singing praises and try it yourself, Sang-guk pointed to the bag. Huiseo bounced on his toes a few times to get a feel for his body. Tighten your abs and rotate your pelvis, he mentally simulated the blow. The leg moved up easily as he began a fluid movement. The heavy whip struck the bottom of the long bag with a dry cotton sound. Oh yes, here it is, the impudent boy felt with his whole body. That's right, the old coach praised his efforts. It's much better this way, he said. Phew, Hui. So exhaled loudly and collapsed where he stood. He was completely exhausted for today. You have a keen eye. It's clear why Manager Chan is so interested in you, the old coach grumbled contentedly. Otherwise, you might think that for him this is just fun. The old man stunned with his revelation. Why, the impudent young man was very surprised. He said so himself, the coach answered him. He remembered their first conversation. Apparently, he had been misunderstood that time. I'm sorry, it sounded too careless, the guy apologized. Don't apologize, the old man laughed. Essentially, everything is correct. He also does MMA because he likes it. It's better than looking at sports as a job. You need to know how to rest, too. Go home, Sang-guk grumbled contentedly. Master Sang, the impudent young man, suddenly jumped to his feet. Thank you for everything, Huiso blurted out loudly throughout the hall, echoing loudly. You weirdo, if you shout like that, they'll think he's on the team. Sanguk smiled. Do well in tomorrow's test, his coach wished him. Fighter? Huiso heard the unshaven master's cheerful grumble. The next day he was ready and had already changed for the match. His opponent was also warming up on the sidelines. The shaved boy looked skilled and kept his cool. Young Hwan stood next to him and supported his friend, looking warily at his opponent, who looked serious. The guy looked at the newcomer appraisingly. The man in the suit, Director Kim Seo-yup, looked interested. Handsome indeed, Manager Chan noticed. He is the one who sends people flying with a punch, the director asked. Coach Pak also said that he learns quickly. The manager praised the newcomer. We'll see, the director replied, looking closely at the newcomer. Relax and do as usual, said my friend. But he himself was more worried than the fighter in the helmet. The guy just came to MMA a week ago. Don't push too hard. But don't let your guard down either, the shaved guy's trainer instructed. He doesn't even need protection from a lightweight fighter. The British grinned. Now we'll bring the eagle down to earth. The fighters came to the middle. The referee gave the command to get ready for the fight. He closed his eyes in fear and teased the newcomer. Huiso stood there silently. The referee reminded him that it was a 3-round, 2-minute sparring match. Elbows and knees cannot be used. He listed the limitations of combat without a fight. Huiso collected his thoughts. They touched gloves, and at the corners, the referee gave the command. The bell rang, and the shaved fighter seized the initiative with quick jabs. He combined them well with hooks. Huiso barely dodged the light blows. Shaved threw a low kick, but the newcomer managed to put up a defense by raising his shin. Good defense, Director Kim Sayop noted to himself. The guy really showed good footwork and moved confidently around the ring. The shaved one was chasing him. You're running away, he grinned lightly. And he threw a left straight when Huiso stepped back, putting up a block. He kept a tight defense and did not attack, so the shaved one moved freely. He easily closed in and landed an uppercut from below to Huiso's ribs. It hurt. The blow made him cower for a few seconds. The satisfied Briton continued to break the newcomer's block. They're hitting him too hard, the director said with disappointment. But the guy hasn't lost yet, the manager objected. We'll fight. The bald guy got cheeky and rushed forward, forgetting about defense. Huiso got used to his speed and dodged with barely a flick of his helmet. In an instant, he approached the shaved man and passed through his protection. The hand described a sharp hook, and the fist sank into the jaw with a sharp uppercut. Oh, not bad, the director noted. The manager was also jubilant. Good hit. The newbie can do something, the baldhead realized. He tried to hold off Huiso with jabs from a left-handed stance, but he deftly dodged them. Seizing the moment, he landed a right straight to the jaw, which hit the baldhead hard. But it wasn't enough to knock him out, and he was able to exchange blows. The helmet absorbed the blow, but Huiso still felt it. Shaved also received a punch in the nose, and the fighters exchanged blows in the center of the ring. Huiso regularly received a retaliatory blow to the helmet from the skinhead. Master Sanguk, look, Huiso doesn't give in even to the pros. Young Hwan supported his friend, but the coach looked displeased. He wondered what this weirdo was doing, but didn't intervene yet. Round, the referee sent both fighters to their corners. Huiso took a breath, pouring water on himself to cool down. It was hard, but getting hit in the face was fun, he thought. The director decided that the guy seemed to know where to hit, and the manager agreed. Now he too was confident in the newcomer. However, the director said, the second round went on as the end of the first. The guys beat each other up with quick blows, but they didn't cause much damage. Huiso was breathing heavily, his stamina leaving much to be desired. There is a lack of experience and not enough strength, the club director said with disappointment. The Briton still had strength. He pressed hard on Huiso. The opponent hit him from different angles, and the newcomer went into deep defense. We started off so well, the bald-headed man rejoiced. Wait another minute, he asked his opponent. Huiso endured, raising his guard and holding his stance, his strength already running out. The gong saved him from defeat, and the second round went to the bald man. Just breathe, Yung Hwan was a second in this fight. The guy showed everything he could, said the director, and the manager was forced to agree. He is not in the best shape now. Train him well, said the director, and was about to leave. Li Huiseo, the grumpy old man, called out loudly, causing everyone to turn around. Master Hui. So walked to the edge of the octagon to talk to him. Who fights like a woman in the ring? The old man asked menacingly. What kind of fool gives in to an opponent? He scolded the newcomer. The bald-headed man glared angrily. What do you mean by indulgences? His victory had just been devalued. MMA is a sport for men with a strong spirit, the old man scolded. What is he doing? The manager was surprised. Enjoy yourself, but don't forget about the fight. Stop playing around. The unshaven master got carried away. Fight as you wish, without regret, the words penetrated him like a breath of wind. Just don't even think about actually grabbing that thing, Hui. So smiled. The director stopped to see what kind of trick the newcomer had just pulled off. He was stern. Okay, let's throw away all the unnecessary things, Hui. So took off his helmet. This time we will fight seriously. He smiled. He stretched his numb arms as if a heavy weight had been lifted from him. What's wrong with this weirdo? Asked the bald man, and prepared for the next round. He had been beating him up all this time, and now the guy decided to put on a show. Funny, thought the bald guy. It looked so carefree, as if another person thought. The bald-headed man, assessing Huizou's actions. The gong rang and he rushed forward, not wanting to give up the initiative until the very end. The pressure continued, and with cat-like agility, Huizou dodged the sharp blows. How hot, he started jumping on the surface. From the sharp movement, his feet were burning like fire. What a circus in front of the director. The manager's jaw dropped. They could have already signed a contract without any problems if the guy hadn't been so stubborn and hadn't tried to jump above his head. It's just a bluff. There was no need to strain yourself so much. The bald guy grinned. Now he'll just take apart the self-confident newbie. It's time to sleep without fear. The bald-headed man put a lot of effort into the blow. And he ran into an instant counterattack. No one even noticed what happened. The bald man received a painful blow to the nose, and his head jerked back. He caught it so easily, the other spectators were surprised. The manager breathed a sigh of relief. Not all was lost. The bald-headed man took revenge and threw a straight punch to regain the lost initiative. Huizou went into a low stance to Ben. I'll finish him off while he's down there, thought the bald-headed man, and swung for a powerful blow. Huizou straightened up like a coiled spring, and with a flexible movement, he delivered a left uppercut to the liver. Boom, the bald man's ribs moved painfully when the fist landed. Huizou immediately jumped back to avoid a possible return blow. For the first time in the entire fight, Lisek was completely confused. He didn't understand what had happened. Come on, the arrogant newcomer, who seemed to have been replaced, teased him with a gesture. What a bastard, he gritted his teeth in anger. What this weakling would allow himself. He couldn't stand the bald head's insolence. He went forward again, his defenses raised and all tactics forgotten. But he couldn't get even. Now Huizou saw all of his opponent's blows. They seemed to be dancing in the ring. The newcomer anticipated all of his opponent's movements, and he could no longer hit. With the agility of a cat, Huizou dodged the bald-headed man's sweeping blows. It was impossible. The bald guy couldn't believe that not a single blow of his could even touch his opponent. Huizou did it easily, dodging with a smirk on his face. As soon as the opponent finished the series, he instantly closed in, swinging for a strike. The bald-headed man put up his head protection, noticing the counterattack. But instead, the middle kick ripped into his ribs, Huizou using a trick. Bluff, the bald-headed guy is completely at a loss. His tricks are not what you expect from a newbie. Huizou was on the offensive, and the enemy completely gave up the initiative. Lisek put up a defense with his forearms, covering his head. Huizou suddenly went left and kicked him in the stomach with his right foot. Now he's losing. The other athletes were surprised. This round was so strikingly different from the previous ones. Completely defeated, the director was impressed. Huizou used unusual movements with his hands, feet, and eyes to deceive his opponent. His punches didn't look right, but came from unpredictable angles. Careless but elastic steps, light movements between rigidity and agility. This was his true style, the director realized, and he was still surprised by the newcomer's determination. He still overcame it, the bald man reluctantly admitted. Huizou's blows were causing him damage. But in a real fight, he would never give in to the pace of his opponent. The bald-headed man rushed forward in one lunge, only to be met with a left uppercut to the jaw. The shaved head was thrown back by a powerful counterblow. Huizou finished him off perfectly with a high kick to the head, and the bald guy went flying. The predator's eyes did not let go of its victim until the very end. The shaved head rolled his eyes and simply fell, his consciousness going into reboot. He fell like a felled tree, hitting his entire body on the ring. The echo of the fall resounded through the silent hall with a roar. Song gun, the old master called him quietly. It's time to finish the fight, he told the stunned referee. We're done, you can go. The bushy-browed coach, Huizou, stopped. Cool, good fight, shouts rang out, Young Huan shouting the loudest. That's better, said the unshaven old man with one glance. Huiso walked down from the arena with satisfaction, his heart still beating fast after the fight. A good fight and an unexpected outcome, his director praised him, but he has a bad habit. In the final round, he fought rather than led the fight too willfully, Huiso heard. This is a sport. Athletes fight in the ring, not fighters. There are rules that must be followed, the director said. Anyone who doesn't see the difference doesn't deserve to be a fighter. Rudeness and cruelty shouldn't cross the line, he harped. Huiso frowned. He didn't like what he just heard. Didn't he understand, the director asked him? And Huiso replied that it was about sportsmanship that played the main role. But can't we do whatever it takes to win, excluding dirty tricks? Asked the cheeky guy. Do you really think so? The director answered him sternly. The boy is wayward, he thought. Of course, losing proves a fighter's uselessness, Huiso replied decisively. We can discuss this later. The director waved his hand dismissively. We can sign the contract now, he suggested to the guy, but he abruptly refused. The director didn't expect this. He didn't even immediately realize that he had been refused. I don't think I'm cut out for the role of an elite fighter in a fight club, he heard. And he got pretty angry. Why did they even gather here then? The impudent boy bowed low and asked for forgiveness. For the old master, this answer was also quite unexpected. How is the director? Sang-guk was talking on the phone, he said clearly after hearing the answer. They went for a drink when they called him. The old master exhaled, and when he finished the conversation, Huiso apologized again for the inconvenience. Now you can talk, the coach sat down opposite. Why did he want to join their team? Asked Hui with an unshaven master. I just wanted to. Is there any other reason needed? The guy answered frivolously. He's only good at chatting, Sang-guk grumbled. This is some kind of revenge for the fact that Director Kim underestimated him? The coach asked directly. But Huiso shook his head. He distinguished actions. He had been involved in sports all his life, and all the coaches told him the same thing. Stop kicking and do what you're told, they told him when he was playing baseball. For their willfulness, they were all punished by being forced to stand in a plank position, Huiso recalled. So Director Kim reminded him of the past, Sang-guk realized. That's right. Huiso agreed. They are all the same. They kill the individuality of athletes, but you are a different master. Sang-guk heard and was surprised. Because he's the only one who told Huiseo that he can move however he wants as long as he enjoys the fight. He said it at random because he was losing, Huiso heard. But the coach's words were not what is usually said to athletes. Such nonsense about strength of spirit and freedom. Who else would say that Huiso's rudeness nailed the master? But these words greatly encouraged him, the boy said. No one had spoken to him like that before. That's why he wants to learn from the old and unshaven master, finished Huiso Sang-guk. Chew before it burns, the trainer flipped the meat on the barbecue with expert movements. The motivation is clear, but that's not all. Many come with the same zeal. They love sports just as much, but they end their careers after a couple of years. The master continued, it's hard to say why. Because they can't afford it, and they do it until they become poor. MMA is a sport for those who have money. That's why everyone wants to join the association and earn money. Forget it, the cheeky guy interrupted him. Don't pretend you've already thought about it, Sang-guk said. But he does it out of love for MMA, the guy answered. The master did not accept this. 100 out of 100 start the same way. Then he will be one of those 199 who say so and eventually give in. As long as there is a 1% chance, everything is fine. Huiso insisted on his own. But this is a damn small chance. Sang-guk put pressure on the boy. So he is this chance, the impudent youth simply replied. This is his last chance, Sang-guk heard. He would never return to sports just for the money, Huiso firmly decided, slamming his fist on the table. The old master froze for a few seconds, he thought. What can you do with him? Sang-guk drained his glass of iced tea in one gulp, making a strong-willed decision. Just don't complain or regret it later, the coach grumbled. This was an independent decision, Huiso replied. There will be no regrets. I'll work like a donkey, said the guy. And Sang-guk asked, maybe like a horse after all. What a blockhead, thought the grumpy master, and they both laughed. What else can I add? Since he has decided everything, the old master grumbled. It means he agrees, asked Huiso. Who cares about consent in such a case? If everything has already been decided, the unshaven master answered with a question. Strike while it's hot, we'll start next week, the master replied contentedly. Huiso bowed. Now he can eat in peace, the boy rejoiced. The more the master looked at him, the more he was surprised at what else Huiso would do. Athletes need pure obsession to endure pain in training. Money works best, but now it's different. Song-guk recalled watching from the sidelines as the coaches apologized to the director. Nowadays, money is not as important as love for sports. It's hard to believe in such love, and who knows what will happen in the future, but he definitely didn't want to give the guy to anyone else. The master promised to resolve the issues with the bushy-browed trainer, who would give him the entrance papers. Huiso nodded. The participation fee before the debut will be different, the master promised. How about a discount? The guy said in the tone of a seasoned financier. The grumpy master laughed. What's wrong with that? These aren't the best of times, the guy said indignantly. Talk to Song-hun. He knows what to do, the master grumbled. Oh, and we can defer the payment. He wants to apply for a tax deduction from his father's card, the guy asked, and the coach nodded. What about the debts? Can they be paid off in 6 months instead of 3? The impudent boy bit off his hand. There are no restrictions. You can enter fitness in the employment line and get a 5% discount, the guy chattered. And you can also take the uniform. The impudent boy did not know the word modesty. Enough, the cup of patience has burst, and the grumpy master tore Huiso's t-shirt to pieces. It seems he went too far, but it was worth it, thought the impudent boy. Hello, everyone, Huiso greeted loudly the following week when he came to the gym. Li Huisio arrived for training. He introduced himself again. What are you standing there for? Get moving, we have a lot of work to do, the bushy-browed coach shouted at him. Yes, please take care of me, the boy shouted again. First, he went into the coach's room to sign some papers. What would you like to drink, an Americano or coffee and sticks? Asked the man with the thick eyebrows, and Huiso chose an Americano. It's a pity we only have coffee and sticks, said the man with the thick eyebrows. Why did you ask, thought Huiso. While he drank the instant swill, Song-hun studied his notes. What was going on, he was surprised when the big-browed man began to paw and feel him up. Could it really be that the coach, Huiso, was horrified? His delirium was abruptly interrupted by a thick-browed man. This is part of the job. But he's right now, the impudent guy whispered. Hold my chest, Huiso said in a serious voice. How long have you been training, fool? Asked the thick-browed man. Huiso hasn't trained for 2 years. The guy gained 7 kilograms in a year and is no longer overweight, so he's watching his diet, the bushy-browed man decided. He wants to determine what weight category to put him in, Huiso realized. This weight is stable. The ratio of muscle, fat tissue, fluid is good, concluded the thick-browed man. And what category is he in? The guy asked him. It will become clear later, but most likely in the lightweight division, answered the eyebrow-wielding man without looking up from his papers. But he weighs 80 kilograms, so he'll have to lose 10. The guy was surprised. Isn't that a lot? He will lose a lot of strength and endurance with such a drop, So was worried. This is only for the duration of the fight. The rest of the time he will be at his weight, the thick-browed man reassured. Does the weigh-in take place the day before or on the day of the fight? The guy asked. Sung-hoon nodded. In MMA the day before? He answered. The fighter didn't understand anything about needing to lose 10 kilograms in one day. Just keep in mind that the coaches will tell you everything later and will monitor your condition, replied Sung-hoon. Further training, he continued. The guy is special. He passed without selection and testing at the main office. He passed without knowing the basics, without training. You can't even call it simple impudence. The thick-browed man nailed him. Study, you'll be on the go. Kickboxing, jiu-jitsu, wrestling, and intensive training. A lot of work. Spread out the bushy-browed guy. Here is the schedule he put down on the sheet. On Monday and Thursday, general strength training. On Friday and Saturday, jiu-jitsu. Sunday rest. There will be questions. There are no questions. The big-browed one decided everything right away. You're probably shy, Sung-hoon suggested. But Huiso dismissed it, saying he'd been training for years and was used to it. Training will begin after the test, whether as a team or individually, concluded the eyebrowist. You'll cough up blood, the coach warned him sternly. But the boy wasn't discouraged. I love it when he says it harshly. Excellent, fresh meat. The man with the thick eyebrows smiled. Now we'll squeeze it dry, he thought. You just have to do what you're told, the fighter said frivolously. Then let's start right away, said the man with the thick eyebrows. And Huiso shouted loudly, let's go. Damn, said his shadow on the floor of the hall after 1 hour quickly. You'll lose your breath if you lie here like a dog, the thick-browed man frowned. I want to die, Huiso replied. What's with the size, asked Song-hoon when the guy stood up. They just started, where's the fighting spirit? You give up on the beginner's course. What will you do when the preparation for the competition begins? the thick-browed man grumbled discontentedly. Bench press 90, lifting 2 kettlebells 28 times, 12 times. Bicep curls, squats 140 kilograms. The guy is not bad. With each set, the weight only increased. The eyebrowed man assessed his abilities. Even middleweight fighters couldn't withstand such strength training. Usually the weight load is determined by lowering, but the guy withstood everything. The thick-browed man was surprised. Crazy guy, he looked at Huiso, who was barely catching his breath but looked satisfied. Why are you smiling? Your roof is already leaking from the stress, asked the thick-browed man. I just like it, the athlete replied. I like the muscle pain, the feeling of fatigue, the slight exhaustion, the crazy guy explained. I had to honestly admit that I didn't have enough strength. The man with the thick eyebrows smiled. But he's not just some kind of weakling, the boy boasted. He heard everything, remembered Song Hoon, his conversation with Young Hwan, when the self-confident dandy had just come to them. Every single word Huiso laughed. It didn't bother him one bit. Back then, he was a cocky upstart, and not one of the team. Song Hoon said he apologized in a restrained manner, but he went too far, he said. Great, we had a rest. We continue to stretch, he said. The guy was surprised. They had already stretched. This is part of the training, no joke. Who said that we will train everything today? The big-browed man shaved off the boy's endless stream of questions. I remember someone who did not pass the test of strength. A voice called him from the grave. Huiso jumped back in surprise as another trainer approached them. Taeyeon, the cheeky guy, recognized the strength training trainer. But what is he doing here? Asked Hui. So, wasn't he told? Taeyong showed his muscles, who was conducting the second half of the training. They drove on. Steel hands grabbed him in pincers and dragged him along. It's not good to change the coach like that in the middle of training. First, we need to work on everything with Song Hoon. The guy expressed hope. What shall we do? Taeyeon asked the bushy-browed master. He looked at Huiso, who was clamped in a vice, he thought. He will help me. It will definitely help. There is still hope to escape from this hell. We're done. He's yours. Do what you want. The bushy-browed traitor waved goodbye. It's time to stop taking athletes at their word, thought Song Hoon. It's rare that an athlete combines passion, resilience, and tenacity. It's already clear that the guy will become the face of the future of MMA. Sun Hoon decided for himself. Just one set, and that's it, Taeyeon yelled. Just finish me off, the impudent guy puffed. Although it is worth taking into account his sporting past, the eyebrowed man realized. They practiced in the ring, worked on the pause, dodged, forced Huiso to bend over, the long-haired trainer. And once again, he barely managed to dive under the red paw. 2, 1, 2, the trainer commanded, and Huiso hit the pads with a loud slap. Hit without pauses. In a fight, no one will wait for a blow, the coach instructed. Jiu-jitsu coach Lee Soo and Young Hwan watched the pad work. The strikes looked good. Good job, the long-haired man praised and announced a break. Bro, Young Hwan called him. He also came to practice. Since we arrived at the same time, why not chat, he suggested. He decided to join us. It's amazing, said Young Hwan. How can he live without his best friend? So answered him. You'll understand when you get older, the guy joked. Young Hwan was indignant. Did he really come on purpose to make fun of him? They were fooling around as cheers swept through the hall. An old and, as usual, unshaven master arrived. Everyone in the hall deeply respected him. Everyone gather, there is an announcement. The trainer raised his hand to attract attention. He waited until everyone was seated and silent to listen to him. Who knows what this is? He held out several sheets of documents in his hand. The invitations were fired out from the hall, the master confirmed correctly. He snatched them up thanks to his speed and assembled a team. Our master is the best gangster in the Wild West. The athletes shouted joyfully, and the old man grumbled. Chung Hwan explained the invitation to the championship to his friend. They are given to the team. Does this mean that anyone can participate? Asked the cheeky guy. The friend shook his head. Was he joking or something? It all depends on the strength of the team. The organizers look at what kind of show a team can put on. Other venues don't receive such invitations. It all depends on the team's efforts. Calm down, the unshaven coach grumbled. He'll announce the participants now. Kang Young-kun, a big guy with brown hair, answered right away. He was a wrestling coach. Tai Chun, the second name on the team, is a striking coach. Both are Golden Glove winners in the past. An admiring Huiso learned. The third Yujin, the trainer, called out the name of the fit beauty. Huiso looked at the female athlete. He was told that they were the same age. She earned 5 wins in X1 in the lightweight division up to 52 kilograms, and her attractiveness led fans to dub her the goddess of MMA. She was as far away as the moon. The boy looked dreamily at those whom the coach had named. While it was too early to think about a place in the league, the boy began to examine his toenails. Li Hui. So the last word was heard from them? Yes, it's him. The guy was stunned. Being the kind of person who received the invitation, Hui Seo received many envious and displeased glances. The beauty looked contemptuously at the impudent upstart. These are the terms of the organization, so no offense. The unshaven trainer quickly reassured the indignant ones. Or are there objections? He looked sternly at the fighters and they fell silent. That's all for everyone who received an invitation to gather at Songhun's. A heavy hand squeezed the back of his neck as the boy continued to stand rooted to the spot. Let's go and talk face to face, the old master called him. Everyone was so unhappy, Hui, so was worried. So what? It was the organization's decision. He shouldn't worry about it, Sangun said. They all understand this. Stop thinking about others, the master reassured the guy. He asked who the invitation came from, and the master read the name of the fighting organization, X1. But the boy was surprised when Korea's top association found out about him. In the video became popular, the coach explained. The monster that destroyed the professional fighter? That's what they call the impudent guy. So this is his debut. How soon? The guy was very surprised. But there was also a problem, the coach said. Chung Soo Cho, height 183, weight 87 kilograms, read Huiso. Welterweight, but that's not all, the match schedule, the coach said. September 9th, the boy read on the back. It's not a mistake. Today is the 18th of August, he asked. Right. The match with the substitution, the coach explained. The fighter is out due to injury. He will need to get his weight back to normal in 3 weeks, analyze his opponent, and prepare. The enemy is larger, better trained, and has more experience, the unshaven master reassured. How are you going to get out of this? The coach asked the impudent boy. Preparation usually requires at least 3 months. Without good balance against an experienced opponent, it's suicide. Let's try it, the guy decided. You won't regret it, the old grumbler asked him. Let's do it, Huiso answered decisively, without a shadow of doubt in his voice. Tomorrow you'll sign the contract. Today you can rest, dandy, the old coach told him. And that's it. The master wasn't against it. Huiso was surprised, but he waved it off. If he were against it, he wouldn't have even suggested it. Did it mean that the match would be easy? The boy wondered. He was about to leave, but the coach called him back. His parents know that he is going to participate in a professional match, he asked him. No, not yet, the green goldfinch answered the master tensely. It's none of his business, the master grumbled. But it's better not to participate without his parents' consent. I'll tell you soon, the guy sighed heavily. The conversation will not be easy. Talk to your parents today, and we'll decide everything tomorrow, suggested the unshaven master. I need to respond tomorrow so that the organization can change the schedule if the coach explains anything. Don't be stubborn. Tell your parents the truth. If they refuse, you can participate another time, the coach insisted. Huiso was delayed. The decision was not easy for him. Will there be another time, he answered in a doomed voice. He simply asked. Tomorrow, so tomorrow, the boy quickly put on a smile. Well, that's all, he said goodbye to the unshaven coach. He looked at the guy. What a troublesome dandy. It will be hard with him, the unshaven coach sighed tiredly. From Yonghwan, he knew that the boy had a strained relationship with his parents. It's so hard, it's infuriating, the unshaven coach got angry. Late in the evening, Huiso returned home to his parents. Today he was earlier than usual, his mother noticed. His father was watching football. After training, first go to the shower. Huiso said that he washed himself in the gym, but his mother insisted that he could sweat on the way. While she was grumbling, her father almost hit her with a screaming blow. The team scored a goal. The tired woman dropped all the linen she was holding in her hands. We need to talk to them before Mom strangles Dad, the boy said. Shower first, the mother replied murderously, in a tone that brooked no objections. Then he was finally able to sit them down and told them everything, as the coach had demanded. What do you think, dear? Asked the father. But the woman pressed her lips together. He always does what he wants. But then he suddenly decided to ask. His mother was clearly unhappy with everything that was happening. Now he confronts us with the fact that he has decided to do MMA. The mother responded sharply. It doesn't matter. She's definitely against whatever he says, the woman cried out in annoyance. But Mom, the boy tried to get through to her, but his mother quickly shut him up. 10 years without sleep or food so he could exercise, she said with pain. She stopped seeing her friends and worked herself to the bone for him. And now he's saying again that he wants to do MMA. He clenched his hands. How much more must she compromise? She always gives in, she almost cried. Think about your mother at least once, she cried out, breathing heavily. Forget it. Do whatever you want. All she does is clean up anyway, she said angrily and stood up abruptly. Wait, Mom? The boy gently took her hand, but she didn't stop. She sacrificed a lot for him, and he always felt ashamed of it, Huiso said. That's why he wants to get their permission, one last time. She looked at him with pain, as only loving mothers can. Do what you want, the tired housewife went to her room. The boy could only watch his angry mother go. She's just really worried about him, the father reassured. I know, the son replied. She only gets angry when she's really worried about him, the guy said. How you've grown, just look at him, his father patted him on the shoulder. But the son was wrong about something, said the father, moving closer. This woman is always angry. Just look at her neck, complained the father. And Hui so understood why the mother was angry all the time. You rascal, you're making fun of your father, they laughed. So he agrees, asked Hui So, and his father nodded. If he refuses, won't he be the one to blame later? But he won't, the now grown-up son said confidently. Take care of your mother, said father. You know how much effort he put into this, Hui So nodded. There was something else he wanted to say, Hui So remembered. He needed money for the participation fee, but he would return it, the father asked in the tone of an experienced financier. He gave the money to his son, Hui So replied in the same tone. This is an investment. Who knows? Maybe he will earn 2 or 3 times more. The father heard but doubted. The bluff was obvious. If this were possible, it would have happened already, the parent said. You won't regret it, the son asked later. And if I make friends with women's groups, suggested the smart guy, and the old man pricked up his ears. They shook hands to show that they had just come to a mutual agreement. How much money does the future champion need? Asked the father, who suddenly changed his mind. It's a safe investment, the son replied. He won't regret it. The bedroom door opened quietly as the men were fooling around in the living room. Mom looked at them anxiously and closed the doors again. The heavy hammer hit the tire with force, as if it were being used to drive in rails. Take a break, the coach told the strong athlete, and he threw down the sledgehammer. They haven't called yet, the fighter asked. He had been sweating since morning training and was still waiting for an answer. There are only 3 weeks left until the fight, he was worried. They will contact him soon, the coach confidently stated. They rejected 60 people from his weigh-in, and for 2 weeks they could not find anyone to replace him. The association was worried. Don't push yourself so hard, the trainer told him. You'll still wear out your muscles. You've only just started training, fool. But all your efforts will be in vain if there's no fight, grumbled the hairy man. Just train, the coach insisted. If they don't get in touch, he'll call them himself. What a stubborn character, like all fighters, thought the mustachioed trainer. A little later, he finally accepted the call from the association. The shaggy-haired Chan's son listened to who the coach was talking to. Director Song Du-shik asked the bangs-headed athlete. A replacement was found, and the long-haired athlete was immediately delighted. But who is this guy? Never heard of him? Li Hui. So the coach read the name. It looks like he's a newbie who just got through the league, Patlock suggested. It doesn't matter, he said, and went to train. Now the real spirit of training has appeared, he said. Somewhere in another gym. Another athlete thought the same thing. They met with the bushy-browed coach before signing the contract. Once you join their club, the gym takes 10% for itself, said Song-hoon. Not bad, Hui. So noted, usually the audience takes 3/10 for themselves. Our master believes in this. Athletes are a priority for him. Maybe I should make an exception and charge him more if he's not happy, the big-browed man asked, and the boy quickly changed the subject. It's a one-time contract, explained Bravastic. The fund is 2 million, $1 million for a win. Watch your weight. If you weigh more, you will have to pay a stiff penalty, warned Song-hoon. You'll give me all your winnings, the cheeky young man agreed quite honestly. It's an athlete's responsibility to keep an eye on his weight. As for the other details, you'll find out for yourself. I have more questions, the eyebrowed man finished. How much will they give for the victory? The man with the big eyebrows chuckled. This was the question he was waiting for. After all deductions, taxes, fees, there will be 3 3/10 million left. The impudent boy started drooling at such a sweet sum. Are you going to retire after this fight? Asked the thick-browed man. And the guy flatly refused. He would cling to every opportunity. Such opportunities come rarely, and the wait for them is long, so try hard, the bushy-browed coach warned. Huiso tensed up and listened attentively. He was really involved in a serious matter. It's not enough to just win. You have to put on a show. Organizations don't do charity work, the big-browed man explained. If you don't have the skills, show some fighting spirit. If that's not enough, at least don't shit your pants. The coach frowned. If you don't prepare properly, your fans will quickly forget about you, warned Browastic. You need to put in more than your full effort. Put a cross on the contract and return to training, said Sung-hoon. We need to learn all the strategies and tactics against Cho-sun. The guy said it well. In what direction? He will learn wrestling, the bushy-browed coach smiled. He stood in front of the massive Yong-kun, who outweighed him by several weights. The fighter made a sharp movement with his whole body. They were practicing wrestling. There was no need to fear blows. Under such pressure, Huiso instinctively retreated toward the net. Young-kun easily passed the defense and held the boy by grabbing him and taking him in a hold with his other hand. His head was propped up by Huiso's chin. He couldn't move. He was pressed tightly. Did he smear his legs with Vaseline or something? The thick-browed man was indignant. Why did the enemy make such an easy pass? He yelled at Huiso. Wrestling is great for finishing blows, so they'll start with that, said the big-browed man in the office. Chon-Su's style is simple. He avoids grabs well, even though he doesn't have anything special. He knows his opponents well and is trained. He's bigger, so he's guaranteed to use grabs, and if he can't handle them, it'll be hard. He'll drag you to the bottom of your stamina. Therefore, wrestling skills are a must. But will he be able to learn them in such a short time, since he has never wrestled before? The guy asked. What about Korean wrestling? He used to do it, the thick-browed man clarified. Ah, we're talking about Raw, Hui. So understood what he was talking about and exclaimed. If it's Raw, he can beat anyone. The impudent guy boastfully poked himself in the chest. He was confident in his skills, but he was fighting with Young-kun now. His strength was draining like air from a balloon, as if he were fighting a gorilla and not a man. He stepped inside Young-kun's stance with his right foot. It was time to get out, or the big guy would just crush him and cut off his supporting leg. Young-kun felt his strong body collapse. Now that he had lost his balance, Huiso grabbed his opponent's shoulder with his right hand. In one movement, he turned and threw away Young-kun, who was standing on one leg as if he had turned a wardrobe, the impudent guy thought. Huiso didn't let go and completed the rotation. Now he pressed Young-kun to the net. Damn, he's good. Even the big guy had trouble with the nimble kid. As soon as he regained his balance, Huiso had already made a pass to the legs and grabbed the opponent under the knees. He wants to knock him down. Young-kun got angry at such insolence. He spread his legs wider and leaned his body forward, not allowing himself to fold. And this is not a joke. The blonde trainer also watched their fight. He noticed that he keeps his balance well and uses holds. Who would have thought? It seemed like Young-kun could easily deal with the newcomer. And now he was puffing with all his might, holding back the impudent athlete. Young-kun is a veteran wrestler, and he easily spun Huiso around, and they switched positions again. The wrestler's big hands passed the brash guy's defense, and they locked in a grip behind his back, as if Huiso was being grabbed by steel pincers. The big guy lifted the light guy off the ground and deprived him of his support. Huiso didn't wait to be thrown into the ring. His right leg hooked under the opponent's knee. He stood on his left knee, gaining a point of support. He made an incredible move, turning his body. He broke the grip of Young-kun, who lost his balance due to the sweep. Even if he was caught in a hold, he would break free every time with an incredible movement. The experienced Young-kun was surprised. You know a thing or two, Li Hui. So, I'll have to teach you, said the big guy. It's too early to be surprised, eldest. The impudent guy caught his breath. They met again in the center of the ring, taking each other into a clinch. The guy quickly got used to MMA after Korean wrestling and noticed the eyebrows. In MMA, everything is not as simple as in regular wrestling, as the daring young man realized. What was his weight before they left the gym? Asked the bushy-browed Sun-hoon. They were on their way to the weigh-in. X1 allows for an excess of half a kilo, so we'll pass, the trainer replied after hearing the result. But he didn't eat anything, he clarified. No, the guy sighed. He didn't drink any water either. He weighed himself a lot when he was wrestling. He knows all the details. You only talk about wrestling, no matter what you ask, the bushy-browed trainer grumbled. Why alone? What about friends? The cheeky guy glanced at the girl next to him. She waved him off. She's just free today. Maybe you'll just get lost. Why do we need a girl? The guy was cheeky, but who will look after his things, the girl asked. Then sit quietly like a doorman, Huiso grimaced. Can I beat him up? She asked the eyebrow sticker. How friendly you are, Sung-hoon noted. But what about your other friends, he asked the guy, and he replied that he hadn't told them yet. He's just afraid of losing. That's why he didn't say anything. The cheeky girl sneered. Some people are walking on very thin ice, Huiso smiled. The ice has cracked, said the cheeky guy, and gave the cutie a slap. Lovers quarrel only to make up, sighed Song-hoon, as the couple began to clash. Huiso couldn't help but let out a gasp of surprise as they entered. Inside the large room, there were quite a lot of people. The atmosphere was different from what he felt in the basement when he watched Jung-hwan's fight. Stop staring around. Follow me, the bushy-browed man told him. The cheeky girl hissed. Our seats, Song-hoon told him to take them and wait. The guy nodded. Huiso obediently took his seat and looked around. He immediately noticed him. His future rival stood out sharply from the rest of the people. Cho-sun Cho, he asked the bushy-browed trainer, who confirmed and told him not to stare so hard. Don't look. Don't say hello until you reach the star down. The eyebrowed man explained the battle of glances. Why say hello? They're going to fight later. The big-browed man decided to play at being polite, grumbled. Simplicity itself, he's still doing it now, said Song-hoon. Now he understood when the bushy-browed coach told him about it. Chelcasti deliberately doesn't look at him, even knowing that Huiso might be looking. They were separated by several meters, but both pretended that their opponent did not exist. The weigh-in ceremony began, and the fighters climbed onto the platform one by one. Their weigh-in was announced, and the eyebrow-wielding man stood up to call Huiso, but stopped short. Let's go! The reckless guy had already undressed and was standing in just his sweatpants. What a fool, what a cheeky girl, who hit him on the seat with her trained foot. Why did he undress before the announcement, she asked embarrassedly, but didn't show it. But he still had to undress, the carefree guy answered. And what kind of ridiculous underwear are you wearing? The girl blushed. It's my father's. Women don't understand how important they are, the cheeky guy replied. Finally, he was called and the team trudged up to the podium with the weights. It was all officially counted. Lee Huiso, 77.2. Excellent. Sun Hoon met him. You can't call yourself a pro if you can't even do that, the impudent girl grumbled. I don't care, she said. Put your pants on already. She shoved the pants at the guy, but he refused. It's hot after all. What kind of animal is this? He got dressed quickly, but the guy dug in his heels. A strange chuckle came from the audience, and the couple froze. Who will marry me now? The beauty blushed. I won't forgive you. She threw his pants and ran away. What kind of ridiculous embarrassment was this? Huiso childishly didn't understand, watching her go. The star down begins, Huiso heard his name on the speakers. They stood in a stance opposite each other. Cho Woo-jong was indeed taller and more massive. But he looked exhausted. His skin was dry and taut. Apparently he had undergone intensive drying. Tomorrow there would be a different person in front of him, noted Huiso. Will he be able to win, Hui? So wondered when he heard his opponent's voice. How infuriating he said it. Not even in the amateur league. What a loser, Cho Woo-chung made a face. What were you thinking when you agreed to the fight? It was a disgrace in sparring. Your hair was all messed up. Who was he holding on to? The league director helped him get through. The opponent was grimacing, asking what Hui So thought wrong about him. It's clear he's being provoked, but it's so annoying. Don't provoke your opponent, warned a person from the association. We'll give it our all and not let each other down, the fighter with the bangs quipped. Are you deaf or something? You have to answer when you're addressed. The enemy was clinging to you, but Hui So shaved him off. Shut the fan, it's blowing. He asked for a replacement himself, and now he whines when they clean up after him. Hui So straightened up and scratched the back of his head. He should have said thank you since he saved this match and not whined like a woman. Dissatisfied, refuse, declared the impudent guy. You've completely lost your mind, Cho Woo-chung got angry. They knocked on your door earlier, Hui So said sarcastically. What should I write on your grave? The bangs-headed man leaned his forehead against the ground and bared his teeth. I'll smear it like a sniffle. But he didn't finish. He was roughly pushed away, pressing on his throat. The shaggy fighter was completely enraged. Dehydration was taking its toll. The coach and organizers barely stopped the big guy when he rushed at the impudent guy. If you're unhappy with something, show it in battle. Not with empty words, said the cheeky guy at last and bent down to pick up his pants. Oh, I almost forgot. The guy definitely caught the wave of his bravado. They are only a year apart. No need to put on airs, he said. When he returned home, he found his mother alone. His father had been taken fishing by his boss, just like in the old days. Mother washed the dishes. They never spoke properly since then. The tired woman was very worried but remained silent. Hui So walked up to his mother and hugged the little woman tightly. Let her go, she told him. I think I'll fight better if I know I have support, he told his mother. He had a fight tomorrow. He held her in a gentle embrace while she was doing the dishes. Hui Seo bit his lips. His mother was still angry at him, but there was nothing he could do about it. "I'll go to my place," he said, not wanting to put any more pressure on her. "Tomorrow they'll show him on TV," the guy boasted. With heavy thoughts, he turned to leave for the room. "If you're hungry," he heard from his mother. When he needs to make peace, his mother will always feed him. She told him she needed to eat before the fight, otherwise she wouldn't have enough strength. "Mom," Hui so pulled, and a weight suddenly fell from his soul. "Make no mistake, if you lose, I don't want it to be because of me," the loving mother grumbled. "What will you eat?" she asked a little more softly, concern taking over. "Spaghetti, less pasta, more meat." The son was delighted, and she told him to take a shower and wait. She was so light, like a feather. He hadn't lifted her for a long time, the boy said cheerfully as he picked up his mother in his arms. The arena is flooded with light. The octagon is fenced with a net. The fight is about to begin. Huiso was warming up on his paws with the thick-browed one. "Don't forget about defense," he instructed. "Great, that's enough. You can rest," he told him after the warm-up. He said the blonde guy in good shape, and that made him feel uneasy, Song-hoon noted. "Look how relaxed you are," the old coach asked the guy so easily. And he joked that he had relaxed in advance because he was waiting for him. "Two pieces of advice for this fight," said the unshaven coach. "First, punch Cho Woo-jong in the face 10 times. The guy mumbled as if it were easy. "Don't rush, hit him tactically, provoke him to strike. He's a master at this," the trainer continued, massaging the athlete. "What about the second piece of advice?" asked the cheeky boy. "Listen, don't panic. If everything gets out of control, Song-hoon will tell you what to do," the boy thought. "Why are you silent?" his coach asked him. "What should he do if his instincts tell him to do the opposite of what Sung-hoon said?" Huiso answered. "Usually it's clear what to do, but Song-hoon doesn't let you do it." The thick-browed man frowned when he heard his name. "Do as you see fit," his old coach reassured him, much to the eyebrow's indignation. "What is this?" Sung-hoon asked himself. The coach told the boy to do what he wants, but not to lose his temper. Master Sang wanted to challenge such a statement, but the command to start was given in the locker room. "Let's go!" The unshaven coach pushed the impudent boy towards the exit. They walked down a dark corridor, the blinding light of the arena shining through the passage. There it was, the same exciting feeling that had gripped Hui, so the first time he heard the noise of the crowd. The unshaven coach watched the guy's reaction closely. Many fighters were embarrassed by the large number of spectators. "Just the thing to get in the mood for the fight," said the guy. "Great," replied the unshaven master. "Let's warm up." While Hui Seo was shadowboxing, Sung-hoon quietly approached Sang-guk. "He is responsible for this fight. Why did he tell the guy to stop listening to him?" the bushy-browed master asked. "Leave him alone. Let him be capricious," said the unshaven coach. "But it's his debut. How can you allow him to do whatever he wants?" The thick-browed one grumbled discontentedly. "He's not like the master. If he listens to the advice and loses, he won't return to the ring." But Sang-guk stood his ground. In other halls, everyone told Hui, so what to do, and only because of this he refused the elite club. The master replied, "Let him do what he wants." The match was commentated by the hosts. Lee Hui-so came out in the blue corner, and they announced the start of the main fight. His debut match, he had only been practicing MMA for a month, defeated the opponent with one punch, and excelled in sparring, accompanied by commentators. Newcomers rarely appear in such an arena, and it will really be difficult for him to cope, they continued. In the red corner is the rising star of the arena, Cho Woo-chun, with 3 wins under his belt. The spectators are actively supporting him, but will he justify the trust? "Don't worry, move quickly, but stay calm," the unshaven trainer advised. Blue corner, star rookie, height 1.78 m, weight 77 kilograms, Li Hui. So the guy confidently entered the cage. Red corner, a fighter, 183 meters tall, weighing 77 kilograms. The future of Korea's welterweight division, the wild stallion Cho Woo-chun. The participants went to the center. The referee gave the command, and they almost collided heads. Cho Woo-chun was noticeably taller. Elastic muscles, not at all like the one at the weigh-in, Huiso noticed. You have to be careful of his grabs. He was getting ready for the fight when his opponent spoke to him. "Make sure you learn everything well," he muttered through his mouthguard. This is his last pro fight, his opponent promised menacingly, but Huiso didn't care. "Loser, are you still angry or something?" The cheeky boy with the bangs egged him on. He's not just rude, he's also stupid. Focus on the match. Cho Wu's face twisted with anger. Blue is ready, red is ready. Fight. The referee gave them the command, the gong sounded. His gait is light, which means he is calm. The thick-browed trainer watched Huiso. Prepare a bucket of ice and Vaseline, asked the thick-browed man, anticipating many heavy blows and cuts. The crowd cheered and Sun Hoon felt a chill. What happened? He asked, turning sharply and looking into the cage. What happened? Cho Woo-jung was lying with a broken nose. Huiso was standing over him. As soon as the fight began, Cho Woo-jung attacked first in order to quickly deal with the impudent newcomer. He moved confidently, not expecting any surprises at all. A short left jab shot into the face like a magnum. The right straight landed without delay right on the banged man's jaw, a clear 2. Lee Hui-so knocked out his opponent within 10 seconds of the fight and towered over him. The shaggy one sat down in the ring as if all the arrogance had been knocked out of him at once. Pull yourself together, Cho Woo-jung, his mustachioed trainer yelled at the banged man. The fight wasn't over yet. He barely dodged Huiso's finishing blow from above. The fighter rose abruptly. The attack had thrown him off balance, but he quickly recovered. He raised his hands and took a stance. The commentators went crazy from such a start. Cho Yu thought nothing. Now he will get his rhythm back. But Huiso didn't wait for his opponent to rest. He pulled himself together and lowered his body forward a little. With one jerk, the daring guy closed the distance. Cho Wu didn't have time to react. He received a right on the way out, again on his broken nose. The fighter lost his balance and fell back. The quick Hua So crushed the massive opponent. The blow shook and stunned the man with the bangs, and the situation suddenly became catastrophic. And yet he stayed on his feet. Huiso was approaching, but not looking for trouble. The shaggy man gathered himself into a box, pressed his forearms to his body, and covered his face with his hands. He stopped, which means he wants to be hit harder. Huiso put more force into the blow. He showered his opponent with powerful combinations in order to break through his defense. Focusing his attacks from above, he ducked and hooked the ribs, striking behind the elbow. Cho Yu gritted his teeth from the pain in his spleen and felt nauseous. The proud fighter could not stand such a one-sided exchange, opened up and went for a breakthrough. He fired a powerful punch to throw his opponent back, but Huiso easily ducked under the drawn-out strike. Cho Yu's right hand hit him so hard that his head turned in the opposite direction. His strong build and flexible, powerful muscles absorbed some of the impact's energy, and that's the only reason he hasn't fallen yet. He took a wide step forward and attacked over the top, still hoping to win the exchange. Huiso watched the strike as if in slow motion. He clearly read every move of his opponent. The left countercross landed cleanly, doubling the damage to the chelcastum. It's impossible. When did he manage to make a counterattack? Such a technique is not what you expect from a beginner. Both fighters lost their balance, but Cho Wu staggered more. Huiso regained his balance early and closed in on his opponent again. In a desperate attempt to save himself, the banged one made a pass at the legs to knock down the fast guy. The cheeky boy stepped back and lowered his body into a low stance, preventing himself from being knocked over. Let's puff, he smiled. The enemy was wasting his last strength on futile attempts. Huiso stood up and pushed the beaten chelcast away from him. They returned to the counter again. The spectators were going crazy. The experienced fighter couldn't do anything to the newcomer. Cho Yu was pressed against the net, breathing heavily. Huiso raised his hands, showing no signs of fatigue, and waited. The bushy-browed coach couldn't look away. He thought that Huiso would be at a disadvantage. His opponent was superior in skill and experience. The daring guy, opening his defense, rushed forward, closing the distance. He wants to fight, thought the banged man, and prepared to block Huiso. But instead of fighting, the daring guy froze at the last second, and he delivered a straight left punch to Cho Yu's open bangs. Unconventional strikes, feints, and disrupted rhythm. That's what Sun Hoon understood about his true style. The same thing happened with the skinhead. He destroyed his opponent's rhythm and his sense of distance, which you can't take advantage of without preparation. Huiso's hands clasped behind Cho Wu's head, and he grabbed him tightly. Like a panther, the flexible guy jumped up, raising his knee to strike. His entire body mass concentrated in one point and broke through Cho Wu's defense. Everything in his eyes started shaking and swimming. How could it be that Cho Yu stopped hearing everything that was happening around him? He tried to get to the legs again and take the fight to the ground, but Huiso's legs were too wide apart. I told him so, thought Huiso, easily controlling his opponent with his hand from above. Don't talk nonsense, show me, he loaded his magnum. The explosive uppercut blew Cho Wu's jaw off so hard that he lost his mouthguard. The back of his head fell onto his back from Huiso's monstrous blow. Browstick couldn't believe his eyes, and the unshaven old man enjoyed the fight. Huiso was already flying towards his downed opponent to finish him off on the ground, but the referee jumped on top and stopped the match. Huiso stood over his fallen opponent and caught his breath. 1 minute and 49 seconds in, the commentators were shouting at each other to see if there had ever been such an explosive debut before. Everyone who followed So will never forget this fight. The guy clenched his fists. Adrenaline rushed through his body, and he didn't immediately realize that the fight was over. A flawless victory, the whole hall rejoiced. The triumphant raised his fists in a victory pose. He passed out instantly as soon as he sat down in the comfortable chair in the back seat. The old master began to snore like a pig, grumbled. "Leave him alone, he did a good job," objected the eyebrow bearer. "Yes, it's not about So, but about this one," the grumpy old man pointed his finger back. "What a pig." They slapped the coach on the forehead. He probably worked harder than everyone else. "Wasn't it a great fight? Who would have thought that he would avoid all the punches and finish in the first round?" said the eyebrow. "True," the old man agreed. He knew the guy was good, but he didn't think he was that good. Today his heart was beating fast. Then the eyebrow bearer remembered the last minutes after the fight. Huiso lifted the blonde Taesu onto his shoulders, and they entered the arena to see the winner. The guy was sincerely jubilant, rejoicing in his victory, and they all rejoiced with him. Sung-hoon felt confused and didn't know how to react to the results of the fight. Sung-hoon, a cheerful guy, tore him away from his thoughts. "He won, I saw. His laughter and joy were infectious." "Good job," the thick-browed man smiled. "I didn't hear his recommendations at all," the guy asked. "It's all because he did well," Sung-hoon answered. "It was awesome," the coach told him. 1,000 points. And the pleased, cheeky newcomer broke into a smile. He said that he would help, but he himself was silent, as if he had abandoned the fighter, his eyebrows twisting with heavy thoughts. Master Sang-guk, on the other hand, knew what the guy needed and gave him confidence, which turned the fight in the right direction. Amazing, Sung-hoon thought. The boss knows how much he is respected, he asked. "What is needed now?" the unshaven master grumbled. "Why do they suspect him of self-interest?" The man with the thick eyebrows was surprised. "Stop trying to build a saint who is always picky about little things," grumbled the old man. "You complain about your stubble. You're even embarrassed to come to the gym," the old trainer grumbled. "It's just an excuse. He's lazy. That's why he doesn't go." The big-browed man was indignant. "And he even argues with me all the time," Sang-guk grumbled. "And why does he always drive them?" "Now let him drive everyone himself," grumbled the unshaven master. As soon as they came to this, the big-browed one was surprised. "What about a company dinner for 600,000, where you finish your last ramen without salt? And then there was this." The grumbling couldn't be stopped. "All this respect is just chatter. At least once said when you take energy drinks." Song-hoon stuck an earphone in his ear to save himself. The world suddenly became a pleasant, comfortable place. Without stress, no one is without vice, thought Song-hoon. The cheeky young man dressed up and showed up at the cafe the next day. "Hey, Goldfinch, come here," his friends at the table called him. "So that's where those blockheads are," thought the cheeky lad. "The star has come. Fall on your faces," greeted Hui. "So it seems he caught the crown," declared his friend. Only now did another one object. "What's more important is why our friend was running around naked in his underwear in the arena," his bespectacled comrade asked. Why didn't he say anything? They had to find out everything online. His comrades were indignant. There was no time. The impudent guy justified himself. 3 weeks to prepare everything, said Hui. So, pathetic excuses. He is no longer friends with us, just friends teased. It was impossible not to notice that Hui So was now really attracting the attention of young people watching MMA. They stared and whispered behind their friends' backs without any embarrassment. "Oh, now you hide your face under a cap like a star," they asked him. It just happened to fall into his hands, Hui. So became embarrassed. On the way here, he had already caught a couple of inquisitive glances. His popularity had suddenly fallen like an avalanche. For 10 years, he had been involved in sports and no one cared. And now in just 2 minutes of fighting, he had received so much attention. Enough about him, Hui. So asked how they were doing. The bespectacled man was working part-time to get back to preparatory school. "I need to find a permanent job. Won't part-time work affect my studies?" asked the cheeky guy. "I need to graduate from technical school," answered Hai Biom. I'll be a civil servant, said the second comrade with a serious look. Both friends stared at him as if he had said something unimaginable. A failing student wants to become a civil servant. What a natural consequence, his friends laughed. But they were right after him on the academic list. What kind of fools are they? Parkman frowned. They were chatting happily about the good old days when Huiso felt a vibration in his pocket. He took out his phone, and the boy was surprised why his father suddenly decided to call. Busy, he heard his father's worried voice on the phone. No, what happened? Asked the responsible son. At the corporate party, I'll be late. If with friends. Then you'll drink too, asked the father. Mother is left alone at home. If you can, come home early to have lunch with her, said father. That's right, she waited for him all night, thought Huiso, and understood why her father called. No matter how worried he was, he should have stayed with her. It's okay, he told his father. He was planning to come back early anyway. Yesterday I didn't say anything about this. The fight was great. I'm proud of you, son. I heard Huiso, the most important words in life. Yes, nonsense, he smiled. Happy as an elephant. Thanks, Dad. I think I'll be back early today, he told his friends when he hung up. He said he would hang out with us all night. His friends were surprised. He just needs to treat us next time, Hui, so promised his comrades. He waved goodbye to them and hurried home, because his mother was waiting. He should have said it right away. We all know it anyway, Che-bum noted, and Park Min, a mama's boy, rightly agreed with him. Huiso walked along, jumping quickly, his soul unusually light. He took out his phone while walking home. The thick-browed trainer was calling. Check the prize money, Sun Hoon asked him, and the guy went into the account. 1,165,000 for the match. He received a tidy sum. He received the main event bonus, and for this they transferred another 10 million. He had been poor for so many years while playing sports, but one fight changed everything. The impudent guy thought with regret. He met her on the way home. She was standing with her back to him behind the counter. A sweet, short woman was trying to get a discount on vegetables. Even from afar, she is so beautiful, thought Hui. So looking at his mother. He'd been told his father was one of many admirers when they were younger, and that seemed about right, he smiled. She had wasted her youth and beauty on him, the boy realized with pain. His mother finished shopping while he was thinking and headed towards the house. Mom, he snuck up behind her and suddenly hugged her tightly. Scared me to death. Couldn't you have called first? The beautiful woman grumbled. Why go so far? He asked. It was the same near the house when he took the bag. It's cheaper here. A short walk is good exercise, the mother answered sternly. For the sake of 1,001, she went so far, her loving son dragged a heavy bag. They had to spend money on his sports activities. And now they were saving every penny? Didn't he go out with his friends, his mother asked? The caring son waved her off. They had things to do, he said. Maybe we should have dinner at a restaurant, Huiso suggested. Why? His mother grumbled. She's already bought everything. He'd made a little money today, the son said proudly, so they could just leave the groceries at home. How much did he earn, she asked. It's a secret, the son answered, but he will show her when he earns well in the future. The tired woman laughed lightly. I'll repay you 100 times over, thought Hui, so as he watched her laugh. What do you want to eat, sashimi or seafood? The satisfied mother answered, not necessarily, and they walked home peacefully. The manager waited patiently for X1's boss to look at everything. The director watched the fight attentively. The shouts of the crowd and commentators were heard through the speakers. They watched a video of a fight between a brash newcomer who had only recently started training in MMA. The guy made his debut a month later and showed himself well. He completely dominated his opponent throughout the fight. He used advanced techniques and feints, defended himself well, and by all indications, he was a top-class fighter. Impressive and spectacular jump kicks, the crowd roared with delight, and a brilliant knockout at the end of the second round. An incredible fight, the director thought. The recording ended quickly, but the feeling of a good fight did not go away. What do you say, director? Asked the assistant and turned on the light when the video came to an end. He fights so damn well, the director couldn't hold back his emotions. He is really a newbie. He was surprised since you haven't seen him. That means he is definitely a newbie, the manager replied. It was worth leaving on a business trip, and here is a whole treasure. What team is he on? The director asked. Team Attack, the assistant answered. This is the guy who refused Director Kim, the manager reminded. So that's why he has a dissatisfied face, the director realized. He got into trouble because of that, the assistant added. It's not surprising after all. He was set up by the person who asked for help. The director laughed. But we won't have any problems with that, he asked his assistant. The guy refused the money because he wanted to train with Sanguk, the assistant reported, meaning he was loyal. 22 years old, served in the army, had his assistant read out his resume, received $2 million for the battle, and was also given a bonus. So the director calculated that he received $3 million in total. Get it no matter what. Let him choose his own matches if he wants, the director lit up. I'll get to it after the holidays. My assistant took over. The match just ended. There is one more person who attracted the manager's attention. That's all, said the manager. He still has a meeting, so he won't be returning to the office. And I'll take the card, said the manager. Of course, don't deny yourself anything, the director allowed. He loves MMA, but hasn't been this excited in a long time, the manager noted. I wonder how far this guy will go, the manager thought. The director turned the recording on again. He became very excited, as if he had become younger. How well he fights, the director of X1, the largest MMA fight organization, said again. Huiso walked leisurely, enjoying the fresh air. It was a warm autumn, not hot and not cold, just what you need for a walk. Oh, a familiar back, his gaze involuntarily slid over the girl's slender figure. Ming Yu, he cheerfully called the obstinate girl since they had already met. The beauty recognized his voice and turned around, she thought. That idiot again. Without saying anything, he walked forward as before. What a little pest, thought Huiso. What a joy to meet her, the guy came closer. Stop pretending that they are friends, the girl bristled. Stop pretending to be smart. He snatched the small book from her hands. What kind of children's book is this? He assessed the cover with butterflies. The kindergarten boy said, This is philosophical literature. She slapped the impudent boy. Wow, so you can read, and how interestingly, the cheeky boy asked. You still won't understand even if I explain, the thorn replied. Come on, who can't read maps, he asked. It's written there about wise relationships, the art of life and the history of mankind. She became embarrassed. Is she really a nerd? The guy whispered with his lips. I'll strangle him now if he doesn't stop. The beauty remained unperturbed. I don't recognize you at all, the guy noted. My mother didn't teach me not to talk to strangers, she asked. When they arrived in the hall, she continued to calmly ignore him and read. What a difficult character, the guy looked at the cute thorn. There he is, the slacker. Song Hoon entered the office. What are you sitting around for, he asked. Oh, Mr. Eyebrows, the rascal greeted. Let's go out, Sung Hoon called to him. What else is there? Hurry to the director's office for a minute, he said. Take this, Song Hoon handed over a stack of documents for the guy. This he read more closely into the boring lines, with a not at all boring result. A contract from X1, the cheeky guy exclaimed excitedly. They want to sign an official contract, Song Hoon confirmed. Surprised, he asked the boy. He thought this would happen later. He was happy. A debut without a single missed shot, they couldn't miss it. The bushy-browed coach answered confidently. He was very lucky, he told the impudent guy, who did not understand whether it was a compliment or not. It's exciting, even though Cho Yu couldn't show everything back then. He didn't fight in his style. It won't be so easy from now on, the thick-browed man warned. The daring guy truly understood that if his opponent had not underestimated him and not provoked him, he himself could have ended up being beaten. Things can be different, continued Sung Hoon. Sign the contract. He promised to tell you the details later. 3 years. 3 matches. Even if you don't manage to play all the matches, the contract ends in 3 years. But what about the opposite? If in the first year he takes part in 3 matches and is unable to perform? The athlete asked. Good question. Look at the 4th point. Group against group, the fighter exchange contract was read by Hui So. This allows him to fight for other associations while they are owned by X1. The organizations conduct dialogue directly, without intermediaries and taxes. Additional expenses are covered by the organization, and the training camp is paid for by the fighters. It looks like there's a lot to pay, the internal financial consultant tensed up. The prize money may be modest, but with this contract, even if everything goes badly, they won't be able to fire him, so the benefits are more important than the prize money. You might think the association is being greedy, but they do a tremendous job of ensuring against risks so that the athlete ultimately comes out on top. An important point, Sun Hoon pointed out, is that if he joins the SFC association, his contract is automatically considered canceled. They are the main competitor for X1, so to ensure everything runs smoothly, there is a ban on the exchange of fighters between them. What's wrong? Sung Hoon asked the worried boy, who was impressed by the mere mention of SFC. They arbitrarily declared themselves the best platform, Even though the standards of sport had risen, small organizations maintained their title of impeccable. It is not surprising that even those who know little about this sport have heard of it. That's right, and now he won't be able to have anything to do with them for 3 years. The eyebrow guy grinned. That's why he did this, the guy asked. Insurance, the bushy-browed trainer moved on to the next point. If it's less than 500,000, the fighter pays. More, the organization. The penalties for incorrect weighing are the same, Sun Hoon read out. We've sorted out the main thing. It's time to count the money, of course. The impudent financier rubbed his hands. The lowest salary is $1 million. The base salary is 2 plus half for a win. For each win, the base salary will increase. Not sure about the pay, Huiso said. The rate is higher, but the bonuses for wins are smaller. These are rookie bonuses. After their debut, experienced fighters need to win 8 fights to receive the same bonuses, explained the eyebrow-wielding man. It would be possible to make a personal deal to get more, but there is no point in putting pressure on the association. The conditions are already the best that can be obtained. The last thing to come is the bonus system, a prize for the fighter who puts on the most exciting fight. But he already knows. He's already received one. He finished with a thick eyebrow. Remember this carefully before you sign the contract, said the serious, bushy-browed coach. It won't be easy anymore. Now everyone knows what he's capable of and will be ready. You should learn to fight in different styles and work harder. So be ready, yes, exclaimed the impudent guy. Sung Hoon waited until the boy put a cross next to his name and then reached into his pocket. A present, he placed another paper on the table in front of Huiso. The new match is already being announced. The daring athlete was surprised. On New Year's Eve, he has a new match and a new opponent. The coach smiled contentedly. A crowd of bandits with bats and rebar picturesquely surrounded the hero in the center. With shouts, they rushed at him in a well-rehearsed sequence. Well-placed wide swings were in the frame. They hit within millimeters of the hero in the middle, who also moved well. The stuntman turned his head in time, and the fist slid across his face. Immediately after him, the next extra attacked, as if during a rehearsal. He was thrown back by a beautiful and spectacular roundhouse kick. The crowd of bandits parted, letting the fighter fly away. They screamed and rushed with redoubled fury. It looked natural. Die, the extra jumped up and flew at the actor in the center of the parking lot. They spun around in a crazy series of twisting kicks. A flying spinning kick hit the target. They worked well. The actor kicked at head level, demonstrating good flexibility and form. The extra was very surprised. After all, they were getting more than they were supposed to on the set today. But the lead actor didn't hesitate to give it his all. The last one left. The main character turned around at the sound of footsteps. Come on, he read out the memorized line, according to the script. The big man clenched his sledgehammer fists and assumed a defensive stance. His hair was tousled by the sudden movements as they moved towards each other. The lead actor bent over and raised his knee for a side kick. The foot flew firmly into the open defense, and at the moment of impact, the long-haired guy managed to jump to the side and sink. He pretended to choke after being hit and fell to his knees. The actor stood over the fallen enemy, clenching his fists tightly. That's all, he looked down menacingly, allowing the cameraman to take a close-up. The shot was taken, a scream was heard on the set, the scene ended, and the lights came on the set. Good shots of Sang Hoon, the director praised the lead actor. The worried cameraman ran up to the extra. He saw how badly he had gotten it. We didn't overdo it, he asked the long-haired guy how he was. We need to finish it in one take. We won't have to reshoot it. The big guy shook himself off. Don't strain yourself so much anyway, the man told him. How could he let him down after he got this role for him? Heesuk scratched the back of his head. Be patient. When I become famous, I won't forget about you, his friend promised him. The phone rang at the hairdresser Heesuk, and he bowed, stepping aside. Of course, I agree, his friend heard the loud cry of the long-haired guy. They called from the audience. He will have a fight on the main card. Things are getting better. The big guy rejoiced. And when is the fight? His comrade asked. On New Year's Eve, he answered joyfully. They watched the recording of the fight. The long-haired brute held his defense tightly as if he were a rock. His opponent hit with all his might, desperately and with a sweeping motion. It was clear how tired he was. Despite his large body, the strong man deftly dodged numerous blows. He guessed the right moment and kicked his opponent in the ribs with his right foot. And he finished off with a quick left hook, with minimal delay. The match ended in a quick victory. The big guy showed good fundamentals. What do you think? Asked his bushy-browed trainer. A normal fight without holds in wrestling, in a standing position, noted Huiso. 4 fights in the amateur league, 2 professional fights, the basis of karate, third Dan, victory at the Nationals, reads Song Hoon. He has good fundamentals, a real thorn. Those types of guys attack a lot and have good endurance, explained the bushy-browed coach. Endurance is like a battery's charge level. No matter how a person copes mentally, if he is exhausted, he will not be able to move. Many professionals who train for many years can freeze and take all the blows, not because they don't want to move or don't know how. There are 3 types of strategies for this match, Bravastic continued. The first option is grabs and pushes. He is bad at them. But Huiso is also bad, so this option is out. They pin the guy. The second one is to outshine him in terms of endurance. But the impudent boy is smaller and has worse endurance, so this one is also out of luck. What's the third option? Asked Song Hoon. To go out and win? The daring athlete threw up his hands. Bingo, the usually calm eyebrow twister suddenly exclaimed. Attack relentlessly and crush his defenses until you break through him completely. If he were that strong, he wouldn't think about strategy and would just attack with all his might. Huiso sighed. Such attacks don't exist, the man with the thick eyebrows said. But there is technology, he noticed. What kind of technology? The impudent boy pricked up his ears. Muay Thai, also known as Thai boxing. Sung Hun simply answered him. This type of martial arts is the strongest in attack, especially elbow and knee strikes. Master it, and you will be able to break through Haishok's defense. Let's start right now, suggested the bushy-browed guy. But the impudent guy was surprised who he would learn from. Don't worry, everything is ready, Song Hoon praised himself. He will now be introduced as the only Thai boxing specialist on the team, said Sun Hoon. Here he is, the great slob with the bangs, Chung Hwan. There was a silent pause. Huiso couldn't find what to answer and wondered if this was a joke. He doesn't inspire confidence, he smiled tensely at his best friend. Sung Hoon asked him to teach the impudent blockhead how to hit with his knees and elbows, but Jung Hwan didn't agree with this, surprising Huiso. You cannot hit your opponent with your elbow on the ground, and you cannot hit him with your knee when he is leaning on 3 points. At the moment, the most Huiso can do is just pushes and punches, his friend noted. That's why we need to study the flame, said the friend. What kind of plum is this, Hui? So didn't understand. One of the important holds in Thai boxing for delivering elbow and knee strikes, replied a friend. There are many matches in which fighters lost because they did not know the flame. These techniques require a good base. First, let's learn how. First, with your left hand, grab your opponent firmly by the neck. He will most likely do the same, your friend asked correctly. Then you pull your opponent's left hand with your right hand to create the correct angle. This is the flame grip. It takes the right angle to hit your opponent with your elbow at close range. You see, the fingers are free in this position. The one who takes it first will win this fight, demonstrated the essence of the technique, Jung Hwan. Just like now, he suddenly grabbed the neck of his impudent friend and pulled him towards himself and down. This is just training, Hui. So was indignant. Stop grumbling. How are you going to get out? He asked when he closed the lock on the back of his head. I'll just grab your arms and throw you off, said the daring fighter. But what if he hits you with his knee from below? Jung Hwan began to work on it. He can't go back. They hold him tightly and only press harder. But if he tries to go to the legs, his head will end up too close to his knee. Try to get out. Jung Hwan easily dragged the guy from side to side. He completely controlled him. In the first half of the grip, you can still quickly shake off the enemy if you have the strength and a quick reaction. He pushed away the impudent friend. There is nothing more terrible than getting caught in a flame when you are already quite exhausted. Now he will show you how to get out, his faithful comrade taught him. He ordered Huiso to grab him, and he locked the lock around his friend's neck. He pressed his shoulder hard against his wrist, as if hiding his head in a shell. With a loud cry, his friend freed himself from the grip, easily throwing off Huiso's hands. That's cool, said the comrade smugly. Stop fooling around. There's still a lot to do, replied the impudent guy. This is part of the great guru's teaching. Praise quickly, he kept joking. But looking at his serious friend, he continued. You need to take the correct stance if you are taken into flame and strain your neck and back. If the opponent is the same height, then when he moves his back, his arms will straighten and the strength will leave them, and he will no longer be able to control the grip. Then twist your body, use your shoulders as a lever, and break free from the grip, the friend explained. But if the hold is already complete and your neck strength is not enough to break free, you can try to knock him down while he hits you with his knee. He asked Huiso to use a full flame hold on him, and he clamped his hands around his neck. If you get stuck in a flame, you can slip your hand between your opponent's hands, he demonstrated. When the capture is complete, there is very little space and the enemy, knowing what can be done, will actively interfere with it. But if you turn your shoulders and force the opponent to look inward, Jung Hwan made the move. No matter how little distance there is between the hands, you can slip out. In this case, the hand slides inside the grip. He hooks his right hand onto Huiso's hand, and turning the body again, he easily broke the strong lock that it held. It's hard to spot the space to escape, but the situation can quickly change into different outcomes. That was not bad, Hui. So praised his friend, more praise to the god of praise, he rejoiced. Who would have thought that such an unreliable slob would be useful? The cheeky guy continued. Come here, his friend replied. Since he used to wrestle, he should have good balance. He just needs to learn this hold and there won't be any problems, Jung Hwan concluded. That's all for today, time to shed, Jung Hwan whispered quietly. Huiso finished training, you can grab him. He waved his hand to his friend. Strength coach. Tiong happily walked onto the stage. Finally fresh blood, a training maniac blossomed. For what? Everything in Huiso's chest went cold, but it was too late to run. Why is he here, the traitor? He asked Jung Hwan. And he justified himself by saying that the muscles of the neck and back are important for flame, and Taeyong is best suited. That's how it is. Doesn't he know what kind of person this is? Huisung shook his friend desperately. And what kind of person is he? A huge brute crept up from behind. Hiccup, the impudent guy cried out. So what kind of person is he, dear Kim Hui? So, the gorilla asked the guy. The best coach in the world, my favorite coach. Hui so smiled tightly, letting his friend go. Since the guy appreciated it, let him carry it back now. Are words about love really a lie? Asked the 120-kilogram fighter, putting his hands on his shoulders. He mounted the daring horse, Hui So. Gallop on, faithful horse, he said to the boy. No pain, no gain, Chung Huan quipped after his comrade. Who said that he was staying, asked Tian. He would ride him after. They are so busy and he doesn't want to disturb them, so he'll go train with Hai Biom. But he's busy with the beauty Yu Jin, the gorilla objected. Maybe there's someone else, Jung Hwan mumbled timidly as the athletes exchanged glances. Well, no way, the slob athlete understood their look. Save me, the hooligans are depriving me of my sight, he screamed and rushed away. But they were in a cage, there was nowhere to run, and he was pressed against the net. The monsters pounced on the poor guy, and the impudent horse carried Tian to victim number 2. A few weeks later, they engaged in some light sparring with grappling. Jung Hwan quickly raised his hand to grab his friend. Huiso saw all the movements and easily defended himself, blocking the attacks. And he was even able to counterattack. But Jung Hwan dived under the swing of his hand. They moved quickly in a standing position, attacking and counterattacking at close range. Huiso knocked Jung Hwan's hand away and moved even closer. He felt a grip on his neck. His friend became noticeably faster. Pressing his neck lower, Huiso shot his knee into his stomach. Jung Hwan straightened up with the strength of his back to prevent himself from being caught in a full lock. Huiseo slipped his hand inside Jung Hwan's grip and held his neck tightly. The knee dug painfully into the side of his ribs, and Jung Hwan cried out. Jung Hwan slipped his hand between them and pressed it against Huiso's chest. Turning his body, he broke their grip, and the fighters flew in different directions around the ring. Both landed on their feet and quickly regained their balance. Enough, Jung Hwan said suddenly. They had finished sparring. He did a good job. He got the gist of it and praised me pretty quickly, his friend. Rest until the next training session, he waved at him, and a tired Huiso fell to the floor. It's lucky that Jung Hwan studied Thai boxing professionally. Without him, he wouldn't have learned it. His strength and endurance had increased, the daring guy assessed himself. Although usually you can get only one thing. One tired cutie suddenly sat down next to him. These days, Huiso asked the girl, meaning the days before the fight when you need to watch your weight, die silently, she answered. No snacks, fatty foods, fast food, or salt. It was already difficult without juicy chicken. She could afford nuts and dark chocolate. In addition, the girl had to drink a lot of water, 6 or even 8 liters a day, which affected her mental state. Fewer calories, more exercise, and endless trips to the bathroom. It's no wonder the usually prickly girl turned into an irritated hedgehog. And yet he wanted to support her somehow, since the beauty tried so hard. Only 10 days left to endure, he gave the girl his signature smile, 32. Why is it talking to me, the beauty wondered. Let him take better care of himself, she bristled. But how can he not take care of his peer and friend? The impudent guy insisted. Get lost, you're annoying, she replied. But the guy absorbed all the barbs. I really wanted to strangle her, but it's clear that she's not having an easy time, thought Hui. So when the coach brought Yujin some water, the girl stood up sluggishly but obediently. Huiso looked at her small back. Now he treated her like a friend, and it was not easy to watch her suffer. She wants to die now, he thought so hard when they called out to him. It's time already, Taeyeon called to him, and a chill ran down the back of the daring athlete. The big man in front of him did not promise an easy walk. Time for a fun warm-up, that is, a workout before the warm-up. The coach laughed cheerfully. The cheerful inscription on the t-shirt only intensified the oppressive feeling, "I will kill you," Huiso read. Mother, give birth to him again. He thought about how many heavy sets they would prescribe today. Time flew by. The team got 5 matches. Young Hwan participated in the Central League battle, and there were no problems with the other 3 matches either. Yujin won a tough match in the 3rd round with a choke and became a star in the lightweight division. The slacker friend almost won his match but missed a counterpunch and was knocked out. Taeyeon got so angry that he promised to strangle the negligent fighter, but he took it all as a joke, and he was actually almost strangled. The weight control was so bad, the cheeky guy whined. Song-hoon sternly told him to be patient, because others have it much harder. There was no noise this time, the cheeky guy noted. And what did he want more noise, the bushy-browed coach asked. And Huiso shook his head. That was also normal. He was called to the weigh-in, and he ran there cheerfully. Give me your things, the bushy-browed Sun Hoon helped when he started to fuss. Fighter Lee Huiso passed, weighing 77 and 2 kilograms. Next, Ju Ho Seok called the head judge who was conducting the event, and called again when the fighter did not show up. He was there when they took roll call at the beginning, was surprised by Huiso, and heard the sounds of the flush tank. Sorry, I went to the toilet. Ju Seok came out of the stall in a dirty suit. Even without makeup, he looked lousy. Where is the escort, the judge asked. The guy looked so bad, as if he was about to die. He couldn't lose weight, thought Huiso. He almost fell off his feet, but the referee managed to catch the exhausted, long-haired fighter. Ju Ho-suk weighed in. The results were announced, 77.5. Shirtless, he looked like a formidable opponent. I'm thirsty, the cheeky guy urged the trainer impatiently, but he kept rummaging through his bag. It seems he forgot the bottle in the car. How many people has he trained already and he still forgets water? Sung-hoon grumbled at him. Are you thirsty? Huiso heard a muffled voice from behind him. Please take it. The guy with bags under his eyes spoke politely and offered his water, even though he himself was suffering from dehydration. I feel bad about what he did. It was hard to lose weight because of work, Jisuk apologized. What kind of job is this? Asked the cheeky guy. A small role as a hooligan in a movie. The long-haired big guy became embarrassed. It's not easy, since you also have to work part-time, Sung-hoon said sympathetically. The role is small, but you have to work hard, Ji-seok justified himself. I think I'll go, he said. It's not good to be overly friendly before a fight, said the long-haired fighter. Thanks for the water, Hui. So said goodbye. A good guy, he said. Cho Woo-chung was a real beast, true, the bushy-browed trainer agreed. But don't feel sorry for him for being polite. He'll fight like a dog. Of course, he will give it his all at the match, the cheeky young man answered decisively. On the day of the match, he was chewing on some strange dry vegetables. How he wanted some chicken, the cheeky guy whined. What a sumptuous feast. Chestnut hair tickled the face. The sweet smell of chocolate teased the nostrils. Today is her day off. Huiso was surprised by the appearance of the girl. She is helping Young Hwan with the fight, the beauty explained. Since they even invited her, it means that Young Hwan is serious, said Hui. So, otherwise Taeyong will fold him in half, the cutie replied, and reached for a slice. It doesn't taste that bad, why complain? The cheeky girl inserted a pin. Then come on in, Huiso suggested. I'll eat until my stomach bursts, he grumbled, mashing the vegetables. Look, the prickly cutie guest took some candy out of her pocket and put it in front of him. Snacks of chocolate and red ginseng, eaten an hour before the fight, improve blood circulation, she explained. But why such concern, Hui? So was surprised it just remained. The girl turned away embarrassedly. Really, let him also say that they were lying on the floor. The impudent athlete did not believe her. I told you, it just remained, the angry cat hissed. She brought them on purpose, the impudent guy teased and grabbed her in the face with a salad. Get out of here, dog, the girl shouted. She was thinking about how to strangle the impudent guy, but suddenly her cell phone rang. It's time to go down, Young Hwan. I need help with my things, the girl said quietly. Before she leaves, he told her, if you even think about making jokes, I'll finish you off, the prickly cat immediately warned. Thank you for your concern. The cheeky guy smiled sweetly and sincerely. This is how you should always answer, she muttered quietly in a thin voice. Come on, don't disgrace yourself there in the ring. The girl extended her fist. Of course he would win. Their fists touched as he lightly punched her. The coaches watched the fights from the undressed. Another fight ended. The time for Hui So's fight was approaching. Another knockout? Are they on doping or something? The bushy-browed trainer frowned. So, Hui Seo unpacked the candy he received from the cheeky girl. What are you already eating? Taeyong asked him. Ginseng and chocolate. What Yujin gave him. Told him to eat before the match, the athlete answered. This thorn, the big guy was surprised. How disgusting it is. Even chocolate. The impudent fighter grimaced. He was about to take a nap. Taeyong was even more surprised. Mental training. He sprawled out on Huiso's chair. Maybe he's crazy because he's not worried at all, the blonde coach noted. The same thing happened in the first match. He wasn't worried at all, which only made him more worried, Song Hoon frowned. It's good that he's not their concern now. They need to think about their fighters. The bushy-browed trainer sighed. The scoundrel decided to sleep, Taeyeon shouted. He was meditating. The impudent fighter justified himself. What kind of snoring meditation is this? The big guy didn't believe him. Blue corner fighter Lee Hui-sung, the stands thundered. Welcoming, the long-awaited moment had arrived. It's no wonder he's being greeted so much. Everyone remembers the match that was in September, the commentator said. Isn't his schedule too busy? Another responded. There were no injuries in the previous fight, and Lee Hui-so couldn't miss the final event of the year, which means X1 expects a lot from him, they discussed. Will he live up to expectations? The host wondered as Huiso prepared to enter the ring. Stay on the edge of the zone. Don't be greedy. Don't lose control, the bushy-browed trainer instructed before the fight. Okay, I'll remember, the daring athlete promised, anticipating the fight. Go ahead, tear him apart, Hui. So finally climbed into the ring. He warmed up his body as usual, as if before sparring, making light jumps. Jo Seok appeared. Now he looked stern and massive. There was no trace of exhaustion. The shaggy big guy walked into the cage, the difference in their sizes making itself felt. The referee read them the rules and gave them the go-ahead as the fighters faced each other in the center of the ring. He is huge, although almost the same height. Big muscles will allow him to fight to the point of madness. Analyzed Huiso, his opponent. Red is ready, blue is ready. The referee gave the command to fight and stepped aside. At the first sound of the gong, Ju Seok rushed towards Huiso like a dog unleashed. But this time the daring guy kept his distance and was in no hurry. It was not to his advantage to engage in an exchange with a large opponent. He met his opponent with a series of long punches and jabs to test his defense and break the pace. Huiso kicked the ball into his thigh, but Ju Seok managed to raise his knee and block the serve. He immediately counterattacked, pressing with all his mass. A powerful blow to the body to the liver found a gap in the daring guy's defense. It hurt Hui, so continued to dodge and study his opponent. He was practically pinned against the fence, but Huiso managed to get out with a deft jump and deliver a short jab to the head. The shaggy big guy maintained a strong defense and wasn't afraid to get close to his opponent. Well, really, everything doesn't matter, Hui. So realized after the blow, this blow won't knock the big guy down. Keep the pace and control the attacks, the bushy-browed coach shouted from below. Ju Seok rushed forward like a bull, his fists extended wide, and he came dangerously close. A powerful right hook landed on Huiso's guard, knocking him to the side. He had to stop to regain his balance and immediately took another series of heavy shots on defense. How tough Sun Hoon assessed their opponent, but they have something to respond with. Huiso defended himself well against attacks that he couldn't dodge. He deftly dodged blows to the head, a hair's breadth away from a heavy knockdown. Jo Seok's cannon shot knocked down his cross block. An explosive uppercut nearly took off his chin, but Huiso managed to stop his opponent's movement in time with a kick to the chest. A direct counter push knocked even a big guy like Ju Seok back. The strong-willed man quickly regained his balance and prepared to repel further attacks. But his appearance became confused. The enemy was behaving too insolently. He's gone crazy. What is he doing, Coach Hui? So was stunned. Why did he let his guard down? Huiso opened up completely. He stretched out like a wild mongoose, making it clear who was currently in control of this field. He's deliberately asking for trouble. The shaggy big guy assessed the situation. Nothing has changed. You need to press until the enemy is exhausted. The main thing is to maintain the rhythm. Ju-Sok went on the attack. And immediately he ran into a straight left to the head, bypassing all defense. Huiso easily stopped his opponent. He attacks quickly. He clearly saw the enemy's next move. The next movement was also quick, and the big guy managed to notice it out of the corner of his eye. Prava landed on the side. Ju-Seok didn't have time to raise his defense. That's not all. He saw how Huiso regained his balance and was preparing to attack again. Low kick, prepared to defend from below. Ju-Seok and pulled up his leg. No middle kick to the left. He reacted as Huiso changed his stance and raised his right leg. Another trick, the fighter became confused, not knowing what to expect from the enemy. Huiso had completely confused him. He was faster than the big guy, and now he was also using tricks. Everything has changed. He is forced to constantly watch Huiso's legs to understand when to expect a strike. Without realizing it, the big guy had his back against the net and was being driven into a corner. They completely changed roles. Now Ju-Seok was the hunted victim and was looking for a way to get out. Contemptuous exclamations were heard from the audience, asking why he was standing there and swearing, even though he had never been hit before. The audience did not understand his situation. Ju-Seok gritted his teeth. No matter how difficult it was, he decided to break through. A side middle kick landed right under Ju-Seok's elbow into his body, and while he was thinking, Huiso attacked. But the big guy stayed on his feet, even after he was kicked. Huiso took a step and raised his knee again, as if for a kick. But instead of the lower one, he struck the upper ones, right in the big guy's face, almost taking his head off. Strong neck muscles held his head in place, but the blow stunned Ju-Seok. He was pinned against the net and bombarded with a hail of blows from all positions. The shaggy big guy again tried to break through, but this time to the side. The crazy and daring guy chased him with a crab, as if inviting him to join him. These stupid tricks again. Ju-Seok was nervous. He got it hard. He attacked straight and was met with a clean counter right straight. Huiso disrupted his rhythm of attack. It's hard to analyze when your opponent is feinting and faking. Your sense of distance is completely lost. The eyebrow-wielding man grinned. Huiso methodically broke down the enemy's defense, grinding them down with a heavy bombardment. He had to hold out until the last blow. Ju-Seok realized. Soon he would definitely run out of breath and stop. Now he caught the moment when Huiso swung for a powerful blow. If we counterattack now, as he moves closer, the battle will turn around again. But the daring enemy dodged the counterblow and came dangerously close. The bastard read his intentions, the long-haired big guy belatedly realized. A sharp knee stung him in the side along his floating ribs, and Ju-Seok winced in pain. The pain from the damage paralyzed him. He couldn't move. With the last of his strength, he raised his hands in a deep defense. He needed to drag out time until the end of the round. The impudent mongoose drove his knee straight into the stomach at full speed. Another monstrous blow. Even the strong body of the big guy could not withstand it. Excellent, the bushy-browed coach rejoiced. Keep it up, he shouted. Ju-Seok hunched over, backed away like a crab, and Huiso waited for him to stick his head out. Now that the enemy was immobilized, the daring fighter could stroll towards his target. The shaggy strong man found himself at the net again. So much pressure was put on him by his daring opponent. Huiso cracked his eyes with sharp, small movements of his legs. He provoked the enemy by standing in front of him within striking distance, completely open. He's probably thinking about how much strength and stamina he still has left, Huiso noted. Don't worry so much. The fun time is over for him. Now it's time to play Hui. So, he grinned predatorily. The shaggy big guy was completely at a loss. He was already completely broken and didn't know what to do. Punch after punch rained down, and he took several jabs to the head. Unable to counterattack, he absorbed all of Huiso's blows. It was only by a miracle that he held on against the barrage of precise attacks, each one stronger than the previous ones. You can't give up like this. The fighter held on with all his might. Seizing the moment, he ducked under the blow and went for Huiso's legs, grabbing him. But he didn't lose his composure. His heel deftly hooked the opponent's supporting leg. Turning his body with a slight movement of his hand, Huiso threw off the heavy giant. Ju-Seok regained his balance and made another attempt to take the fight to the ground. What? He managed to notice the quick movements of Huiso's hands. There you go, little rascal, exclaimed the bushy-browed trainer, recognizing the familiar move. Huiso used a plum on Ju-Seok, a Thai boxing move he and his friend had practiced. He clasped his hands behind the healthy opponent's head and he couldn't get away. Gathering his entire body like a spring, Huiso drove his knee into the victim's body. The fight turned into a one-sided beating. The damage that had accumulated over the entire round now spread like pain throughout Dusok's body. Huiso landed on his feet and continued to break his opponent with his knee. Get out was all Jusok's useless coach could advise. The big guy pulled himself together and punched Huiso in the jaw. But because of his position, the blow couldn't be strong. And he calls it a punch. Huiso didn't even notice the jab. What a blow. He yanked Jusiok's neck to the ground and nailed him in the head with his knee. The big guy held the block tightly, like a turtle hiding in its shell. No matter how tough he was, it was becoming too dangerous, the presenters commented. Huiso's leg swung back like a powerful pendulum. This time the cannon shot pierced the remains of Jusiok's defense, exploding his head. The big guy slowly sank into the ring. Huiso did not let go and went forward. When the tough fell, he pounced on top and methodically pounded his fists on the head. The caring, bushy-browed trainer suggested pressing on the neck. With his hand firmly planted on Jusok's neck, the daring boy was able to deliver powerful blows. Grab him and throw him to the ground, the big guy's useless trainer shouted. Jusok was shaking from the pain and blows, but even more from his helplessness. Gritting his teeth and overcoming himself, he managed to get up and grab the impudent guy. But the mongoose Huisuk was ready for this. Pulling his legs back, he easily broke the grip. The desperate steps came at a price. Jusiok's neck ended up in Huiso's elbow grip. In one movement, he closed the chokehold, placing his hand on top of his own. This technique, the commentator shouted, recognizing the popular move. After escaping the hold, Li Huiseo executed a guillotine from above. The situation became hopeless for the big guy. He could neither break the hold nor throw off his opponent. He was quickly running out of oxygen in his blood and time to think. Huiso pressed harder, squeezing the thick neck of his healthy opponent. The referee elbowed him in the gut and pulled him away from Jusuk. He ordered stop. The fight is over. Victory via choke. Huiso catches his breath after a tough fight. The commentators were delighted, along with the spectators, as the fight, which began so uncertainly, ended in a rout and choke. In 4 minutes and 18 seconds, Huiso secured his second victory in the first round, the daring young man raising his hands in victory. The little fool did a great job, and it was time for hugs, but the big guy, Taeyeon, ran to the winner. What a guy, he only recently learned the hold, said the blonde guy. And he really is amazing, agreed Song-hoon. He acts calmly, but he's so fired up that he can barely contain himself, the blonde noted. It's good that at least someone else gets this nervous during a fight, he thought. Today he relived the forgotten feelings from his first MMA fights. Great job. Today the winner can do anything. Okay, I'll sing now, said a joyful Huiso sitting astride Taeyeon. Son, enjoy your evening, his mother called him, and he went out to answer while others celebrated his victory. What's wrong with Mom's voice? Did she really drink? Asked the worried son. Just one glass, the grown woman said. Just don't get drunk. So you're not good with alcohol, Hui. So worried, but his mother said she drank at home. I'm so sorry, the loving mother repented. Don't worry, her caring son reassured her. She didn't support him when he first started. The woman was upset, but he's the one who's stubborn, the loving son objected. She felt like she was making him fight for money. He had been through so much and couldn't even eat properly. His mother almost cried. She's probably a bad mother, a completely disintegrating drunk woman. Luckily, he heard his father's voice completely drunk, the old man grumbled. She's completely wasted. Don't worry. He'll take care of her. The son can rest, said the father. Calm her down, asked the caring son, and the father promised to cope. He performed well, and his dad told him the most important words in the life of any child. He still has to work and work so that his mother doesn't worry anymore. The guy breathed a sigh of relief. With this team, he will definitely succeed, he smiled. A recording of a fight where Huiso sang sounded like a herd of bison roaring played throughout the restaurant. Here comes the hero of the occasion. The coaches were shouting at him. The drinking was in full swing. He should take a couple of vocal lessons. What a terrible singing. It was as if he had no ear for music. How embarrassed he was in front of the audience. His teammates teased the winner. They met each other's eyes for a second, and he remembered the dark chocolate and the silky hair on his cheek. Thorn made a face, covering her face with her hand. What a cheeky girl, thought Huiso. She would also laugh at him. The last thread of patience had snapped in him. Now he would arrange a merry drinking party for them. The hall erupted in loud screams. A few weeks later, Taeyeon was yelling madly at his protege. Hopeless. He is hopeless. He pounced on Younghwan. He told him not to rush. The coach was indignant. The other coaches could barely restrain the brute. Well done, Zhonghuan. Don't be sad, the other trainer told him and led the mad bull away. Everything is wrong, the exhausted fighter exhaled heavily. Refresh yourself. The cold can of soda felt pleasant on the bruised cheek. Oh, thank you, said Yonghuan. Don't worry about it, Huiso reassured him. Sorry, he didn't live up to expectations. He helped him so much. The fighter reproached himself. At least he didn't lose, consoled Huiso. In the first round, everything went well for him. He started with a straight shot, which won the sympathy of the audience. Taeyeon shouted at him to press slower and watch his opponent better. But the slob got too overheated and pounded the defense like a wind-up toy, ignoring all advice. As soon as he got tired, he opened his chin, following his bad habit. And in the end, what was supposed to happen happened. Both fighters exchanged blows simultaneously in the center of the ring. And both of them fell into a deep knockout, which amused the spectators' stands, but since Jung Hwan won again, he won't become a pro anytime soon. You won't scold me, the annoyed friend was surprised he was going to. Huiso admitted honestly, but his comrade had already heard enough. He is definitely a good fighter, but he is too tense in the ring, under the eyes of the cameras and spectators, and it is very difficult for him now. You'll win next time, I'm sure, said the cheeky friend. Will he? A shadow of doubt fell on the face of the usually carefree guy. Huiso, he turned to his friend after a heavy silence. He had already thought about this, and his friend started a difficult conversation. The guys went ahead and called them, interrupting the serious conversation. Now let's go, Jung Hwan perked up. He decided that now was not the best time for such conversations. Forget it, he smiled with a broken mouth at his best friend. Let's go before Taeyong loses his temper again, okay, Hui? So resigned himself. He didn't say anything. He just watched his depressed friend go, and at that moment his back seemed small. Great news for our gym. Young-kun signed a contract with SFC. The big-browed coach told us the great news. The audience loudly congratulated the athlete. Everyone was happy and suggested celebrating. The world is so fickle, muttered Hui. So in what's wrong, grumbled the thorn nearby. Yesterday, Jung Hwan lost his chance to debut, and today Young-kun received a contract with SFC. The guy was at a loss to decide whether to rejoice or cry. It didn't matter that Jung Hwan was already hanging in Young-kun's arms, the girl noticed. Another announcement in mid-June, there will be a match. And a person is needed for the coaching team, announced Sun Hoon. The eyes of the experienced coaches lit up. An away match was a great opportunity to travel. Everyone immediately rushed to him like cats to sour cream. The blonde guy wanted it so much that he even pushed the massive Taeyeon aside. Me, he asked me to. But it's not so easy to push aside a giant. He himself could push aside anyone, and he proposed his candidacy. Why are they silent? Asked the eyebrow twister. Do they even have a chance? Whined the other team members. Part of the crew, part of the ship, said Song-hoon. Everyone has a chance. Wonderful, the athletes blossomed with rays of hope. Those who debuted as pros and had a match coming up were excluded, Sung-hoon declared sternly, and the gang immediately withered. This is the order from the authorities, Hui. So was filled with enthusiasm. Even the thorn on the right wagged its tail. But then who should go? Everyone asked a logical question, and Song-hoon thought about it. Let's draw lots. He took out a board to draw stripes for the game. Excellent. Go out one by one and choose a number. Everything is mixed up so that no one guesses. When he finished, he immediately warned everyone that no matter who won, there should be no hard feelings, and the team agreed. Hui So will be first, said the bushy-browed coach, and everyone visibly tensed up. Lucky, so lucky, the lucky bastard rejoiced, not noticing the upset looks around him. Luck is not a crime, the impudent guy weakly justified himself. Well, congratulations, said the bushy-browed coach, and the guy smiled modestly. Just in case, does he have a certificate? Asked Song-hoon. What kind of certificate? The guy with the white hair and seal was surprised, answered the guy with the thick eyebrows. To be a second coach at SFC, you need a sports license with a state seal. There really isn't a single one, the bushy-browed coach asked, and Huiso tensed up. There isn't a single one, he replied. It's a pity he can't get through, Song-hoon responded mockingly to the lucky impudent fellow. This can't be, the impudent guy was horrified. Maybe next time, the coach consoled the defeated insolent man, to the general jubilation of the crowd. Let's just play one more time. He reached for the marker. It's not over yet. It's too early to give up. The daring fighter has risen to his feet. He can get a license before the match starts. There is still time, the impudent guy declared decisively. Do you want to qualify now? Sung-hoon asked doubtfully. The match is already in June. When will he have time? But the cheeky guy has already poked the phone screen. That's what he said. He showed the advert for the second-level sports trainer test. The test is in May. The results are in a week. This is more than enough. Before the match, the daring guy did not lose his enthusiasm. Sung-hoon wanted to explain the details, but Taeyong interrupted him. How could they sit and wait to see if he passed the test or not? Reasonable things, Hui. So had nothing to say in response to this. The lonely thorn stocked up on popcorn and watched the battle from the sidelines. If he gets a license, he will go to the match. If not, he will treat the entire team to a banquet worth 300,000. He set forth the conditions. It's a round sum, Huiso thought. He earned the same amount for winning the last match, the gym fan insisted. A mere trifle for him. I just need to get qualified, thought the cheeky guy. They are waiting so tensely, something is clearly fishy here, the athlete doubted. And Sung-hoon looked dissatisfied. Taeyong reassured the coach that everything would be fine, and the daring fighter pondered his decision. It doesn't matter if it doesn't work out, he'll just pay. But the daring guy wasn't going to miss such an opportunity. Shake, he agreed, and Taeyong accepted the bet. Don't back down later, he said sternly. This concerns him too, Huiso answered him. Freebie, let's decide what to drink and eat, the other coaches agreed, as if they had already written off Huiso. But he's trying so hard, guys. What do you think needs to be done first? Taeyong said sternly. We need to decide who will go instead of him, he ended with another farce. Huiso snored peacefully over his textbooks, which he hadn't sat down to since school. His caring parents watched and tried not to disturb him. The old unshaven master returned to the hall after a long bender. Boss, the bushy-browed trainer greeted him as he came around the corner. I didn't expect to see the boss at work, the unshaven master asked. Here are some snacks, he gave him a bag. It's all because the master was working outside the hall, said Sung-hoon. There is so much here, the brow-bearer was surprised. The master had already eaten, he asked him, and he answered that he had eaten before coming. They cleaned the hall well. It was so clean, the old master was surprised. Sung-hoon probably made everyone scrub everything. He could be left in charge of the hall since he's so meticulous, the unshaven master thought, looking at his colleague. Who do we have here? The unshaven master was surprised, looking into the break room. Huiso was preparing for the test to become a trainer. Sang-guk learned from the eyebrowed man, who said that he can't concentrate at home. What kind of test is this? Asked the unshaven master, the second-level trainer, and Sun-hoon shared the details. He won the position of Yong-kun's second coach, but he doesn't have any qualifications to be admitted, so he's huffing and puffing, said the man with the thick eyebrows. Why didn't you talk him out of it? The old master grumbled, as if it would be easy to do with this stubborn blockhead. But the unshaven master wanted to object. But Song-hoon raised his hands. Everything had gone too far. It was too late to dissuade him. Why is everything so out of place when I just step away for a moment? The lazy master grumbled regretfully. He has a ranking match in May, Sang-guk said. Great news, the thick-browed man rejoiced. The match was in the lightweight division, the lazy master clarified. But why all of a sudden Sun-hoon was surprised? His body is not very conducive to gaining muscle mass. His opponents are larger than him, and it will only get more difficult. He needs to fight in his own category. He's not that experienced in losing weight, and if he worries about preparing for the test, he might not cope, the unshaven master worried. Let's listen to what he has to say first, the grumpy coach decided. I can handle it, the daring fighter declared without a shadow of a doubt. He understands exactly what is happening, he grumbled. The master, of course, the athlete answered confidently. He will need to lose a lot of weight. I'll need to lose 10 kilograms from my current weight, plus diet, and then study. Then it will be very difficult, the old master insisted. We can just start, and then we'll see, the guy said confidently. He promised to make sure that nothing interfered with his training. Everything will work out. He is Li Hui. So the impudent guy proudly poked himself in the chest. Is this enough to take his word for it? The master grumbled. What else is left to do? You just have to try, the young and daring one dug in his heels. Okay, said the grumpy master after a moment of thought. Let him do as he pleases, Hui. So heard the old master's approval with joy. But there is a condition, the grumpy coach sternly shook his finger, that the guy should not even think about refusing. There should be no overlaps. Training, sleep, food, study. You can't get up early and go to bed late for the sake of study, the master said sternly. They will prepare for the match together, the unshaven master suddenly declared. He is always on a bender. The impudent fighter was surprised. This time the enemy is serious. You need to know how to fight him, so he will help, said old man Huiso. Of course, all matches are important, the old master continued to grumble. But this case is special. Win or lose, how he behaves during the match will affect his career. That's clear, he asked the guy. He responded immediately and energetically, always ready. This match is the most important one. If you do everything haphazardly, you can lose everything you worked so long and hard for. He pointed his finger at the boy. Okay, I'll remember that, the guy mumbled. What a weak answer, the old master grumbled at him for. If you doubt, don't take it on, he pressed. I'm ready to put my life on the line, the impudent guy shouted loudly throughout the room. Excellent, that's better, the unshaven master grumbled contentedly. Here is your opponent's data. He handed several sheets to Huiso. What kind of stupid name does he have? I couldn't read it. What a cheeky guy. Mitsubishi Suzuki. This is your first time fighting a foreigner. The old master laughed. Don't let the Korean auto industry down. As the store Mitsubishi greeted the bespectacled bearded salesman. Yes, the stooped Japanese man rubbed his glasses. He held himself deliberately modestly. The bearded fat man scratched his belly. Everything is okay, he asked his employee, and he quietly replied that everything is fine. The customer forgot to take his change. The bespectacled man mumbled. The beard said nothing. Consider he earned a few kopecks. The bespectacled man began to lament that if a person would not be able to ride the metro if he did not have enough of these kopecks. How can a man be so timid? That's why he doesn't get along with anyone. The fat man patted him on the shoulder. In any case, you did a good job for two. The shift is over. You can go home. The bearded man, the fussy employee, let go. After changing his clothes, Suzuki went outside, gaped like a clumsy person, and ran into a passerby. Sorry, the bespectacled Japanese man apologized overly modestly. Mitsubishi slowly made his way to his room, and the closer he got, the more intensely the fire burned within him. As soon as he crossed the threshold, another person appeared, replacing the timid and cowardly one. He looked closely at everyone present in the room, which took their breath away. The athletes quickly stepped aside, making way for the unsociable fighter. Mitsubishi took off his glasses as if they were a restraining seal and carefully placed them on the shelf. The long-eared maniac killer changed into a sports uniform. Suzuki walked up to the bag, warming up. He loved hitting the bag the most. Again, this crazy guy made other athletes tense up, thinking about changing the gym. The sounds of heavy blows echoed throughout the hall, the bag swinging like a toy. The blows were a dry bang, as if a heavyweight was hitting. The bespectacled man could not be called a weakling. The valley maniac broke into a creepy grin, imagining how he was beating living flesh. Meat, more meat, the blood boiled in his veins when someone called him. Mitsubishi. He told me to come to the office when I arrived. The mustachioed trainer yelled at him that he came because of the sound of blows. You're raping the pair again? His master waved the papers. Crazy, he thought. Stop apologizing, it's no use anyway, he shouted at the negligent fighter. The match was in March. He gave him papers with an offer from the association. Li Hui. So, the maniac read the name on the papers. Here is fresh meat, the inner voice whispered. Meat, let's have a feast, a bloody feast, a real bathhouse, tear everyone apart, whispered the voices of the madman. Li Hui Seo rubbed the back of his head. Someone remembers, he thought, while racking his brain over the exam questions. What kind of stupid questions are these? He gave up. His mother told him to study at school, son. But no, he didn't listen. Now he suffered, the fighter lamented. Stop pretending you have a brain, his thin voice pricked him. Why is he sitting here, wasting his time, and not in the break room? Asked him the gorgeous and sweet athlete. He thinks better here, he replied. Close the door before you leave, she said in an indifferent tone, and was about to leave, but the guy suddenly stopped her. Do you know what is written here, he asked her, not understanding why, but he didn't want her to leave so quickly. And what was there? She leaned closer. The spicy scent of cherries and chocolate teased her nostrils. That stupid question, he showed in the book. And this one, here you just have to cram. The girl gave her verdict anyway, he's too stupid to understand. And this one too, she read his list. At some point he stopped listening to her and just looked at her lips. It's no wonder she's been nicknamed the MMA goddess. Long brown hair that smells like lavender shampoo. Beautiful jasper eyes sparkle brightly and attractively in the sunlight. Velvety skin, elastic and toned, glowing with health due to the fact that she does sports, the scent of perfume quickly intoxicated. "What are you staring at?" She caught his gaze. "Nothing special. She just smells delicious," the guy blurted out without thinking. Oh, he realized that he had fallen into a trap, and now he didn't know which paw he needed to bite off to get out. "The smell is nice. I like your perfume," he tried to explain, but it only got worse. "I just got out of the shower," she said in a gentle and embarrassed voice, thoughtfully twirling her silky hair around her finger. "That's right. That's the whole point." He smiled like a complete fool. "If there are no more questions, then I'll go." The girl stood up calmly. It's good that she didn't get angry. He caught his breath. And what kind of voice was that? He looked after the beauty with the narrow waist. She was leaving again. Eugene, he decided to call the girl. He was also getting ready to go, wondering if she wanted to go with him. Then he awkwardly scratched the back of his head and tried to speak calmly. This completely broke their usual pattern of communication, so the girl even froze, and he was silent too. Silence is a sign of consent, but he didn't know it, so he thought he had just been brushed off. That's right, Song-hoon gave him a bunch of tasks, so it doesn't matter whether he was saving his reputation or digging deeper, depending on how you look at it. For a long time she suddenly asked softly, as if nothing unusual was happening. "How long will he help Song-hoon?" the confused girl almost added. The idiot at the end, and again twirled her silky hair around her finger. Yes, perhaps the guy who had just lost the last bits of his mind was terribly slow. "But what?" he asked. "I just asked," the beauty answered, slightly disappointed. "She left," the girl said, and he absurdly wished her good luck and to take care of herself. What was it now? The klutz completely lost his former audacity. Yes or no, that is the question. If yes, then yes, and if no, then no. Thoughts swarmed like bees in the young head. The bell quickly brought him back to his senses as it rang at full volume. "This is an old master," he read the message with the video of his opponent. But what did he hope for, the heated guy asked himself. What's wrong with this patient? The cheeky guy had a vomiting fit. Huiso was deep in thought, but it wasn't his crazy opponent that worried him. Did that cheeky thorn notice what he was trying to do? They had grown distant again lately, he thought about the girl. What was I thinking about? An unshaven master, the boss, appeared, and the guy immediately said hello. "He's not overexerting himself," the old coach grumbled. "And everything is on schedule," Huiso confirmed. "Excellent." The master praised his efforts and asked if he had seen the Mitsubishi fight. The daring guy, completely out of his mind, gave this assessment of his opponent. "He appears to be a talented boxer whose furious attacks stun his opponents and bring him closer to victory. But there is one problem. He has absolutely no breaks. Even when the fight is already over and the referee stops him, he tries to finish off his opponent. At the weigh-in, he looks shy, doesn't even look his opponents in the eye, and when he beats them, he looks like a real maniac. That red-headed guy is just a naughty child compared to this crazy guy. A 10-fight winning streak with only one loss. His X1 story starts with 6 wins. He's a pretty successful fighter, fast, and has a good defense. Considering this, the guy needs to box. But he is definitely worse at this. An unpleasant opponent, because their styles are very similar. And he began to notice details better. The training helped. He already knows how to fight, the old master noted. But Huiso threw up his hands. He hadn't learned this yet. "I saw that match," his coach asked. "I saw it." The impudent guy answered incomprehensibly. The match ended in a technical knockout. "The victory over Mitsubishi will be based on this match," the unshaven master told him sternly. "Objectively speaking, Choi De-hee is weaker and slower than John Silly," the unshaven master explained. Despite this, Choi's strikes were preemptive, and even if they struck simultaneously, Silly was hit harder. "Why?" the master asked. "It doesn't matter. It was a waste of time asking," the coach grumbled when the guy drawled out a long, correct timing and high precision of strikes. The unshaven master continued to grumble. Choido punched a little faster, although his punching speed was slower, and this broke John's pace, although his punching speed was faster. Even though they struck at the same time, Choi knew his opponent's movements well and turned his body faster, thus outstriking him. The same goes for the accuracy of his strikes. He didn't hit just anywhere, but rather the painful and vulnerable spots. If you do the same, the opponent's strength no longer plays a role. Now they will practice these two things during training, but how can they do it in 2 months, the impudent guy wondered. In most cases, it's impossible, but the guy might succeed. The unshaven master grumbled contentedly. Isn't there too much faith in him? The fighter suddenly began to doubt. Everything is fine. He won the matches with his talent, and now he needs to learn to use it. That was all. The old master stood up to continue lazing around somewhere. Get to work, he said sternly to the cheeky boy who also wanted to relax. Huiso quickly felt like a cabin boy on deck. Working on the ropes instantly filled his arms with fatigue. At first, the old master told him to pump up before training his skills, and the satisfied Taeyong happily accepted the fresh meat. He also trained, according to the barber program, 15 pull-ups with a weight of 10 kilograms, 30 push-ups with a 10-weight pancake on your back, 40 crunches also with a weight plate. My stomach almost splits in half from that. 50 weighted squats, all with the same damn pancake. 70 movements with ropes and rubber bands for resistance. All of this was considered one approach, which had to be completed as quickly as possible, with 2 minutes of rest between approaches, for a total of 5 circles. With each circle of hell, the body slowed down and the time of rest increased until the murderer, Taeyeon, shouted stop. But open the air intake, breathe through your nose, the training maniac demanded discontentedly. But whatever you don't do for the sake of victory, after it he will definitely strangle him, the daring fighter promised himself. Look, my arms are already falling off, complained Hui. So, and it really is shaking, said Taeyeon in a sympathetic voice. How much longer do I have to do this, the guy groaned. The boss told me to squeeze him dry 3 times a week. The exercise fan scratched his beard. The daring fighter was horrified 3 times. You also think it's not enough. Taeyeon approved of such initiative. He recently learned from overwork that you can even lose muscles when you study, Huiso said, but Taeyong promised to take care of it. But from such care, for some reason, the burden only became greater. The old master asked them from afar. They squeezed me out like a sheet. Not a drop was left, the exercise maniac reported. Good job, the master grumbled. Great warm-up. Now the real training begins, said the old slacker. First, exercises with a punching bag. He told Young Hwan to show how it's done. Young Hwan lightly hit the punching bag and it bounced back with a spring, always returning after the blow. To avoid being hit by the punching bag, Young Hwan tilted his head to the side. He moved deftly from left to right and delivered precise blows to the punching bag. This training comes from boxing. It works on the accuracy and timing of punches. If he can work as well as Young Hwan, he will become stronger. The daring guy immediately decided to try and lightly hit the punching bag. But on the return, he hit not the center, but the edge of the pear, and it bounced to the side diagonally. It's difficult, isn't it? The master grumbled. All because he sees her as a stationary target. And the guy doesn't have the right balance. He needs to learn control. The next stage of tap ball, an ideal exercise for improving accuracy, dynamics, visual sharpness, and counter strikes, was demonstrated by Young Hwan. The ball was tied to the head, and after the hit, it kept flying towards the face. If Young Hwan moved, the ball would also fly at strange angles. He quickly kicked the ball so that it flew towards the cheeky guy, enough to scare him. It's scary how, said Hui. So because small and fast, it's just a sponge, grumbled the unshaven master. Oh, quite good. The daring athlete also decided to try, but praised himself prematurely. He immediately began to fool around as if he had received a new toy. What a blockhead, thought the old master. It's amazing how big the pros use, Young Hwan admired, looking at his daring friend. He really is a genius. Right now, forehead, the old coach suddenly shouted, which confused the guy. But Huiso still didn't lose his coordination and accurately directed the ball. On one of the bounces, the ball was going too fast when Huiso got going. So he dodged at the last second, and the sponge hit Taeyeon's face. Oh, the cheeky guy thought. It seems like someone still has some strength left. The coach grinned menacingly. Stop right there. The training session has immediately turned into a farce. Like children, the unshaven master grumbled to himself. The ball not only moves quickly but also flies in a curve. But the sharp-eyed guy recognized it and managed to dodge it, he noticed. Now he confirmed his suspicions. The guy has special eyes, all that remains is to open them. The old master grumbled contentedly. But when this training turned into this circus with horses, the unshaven master frowned with displeasure. Due to fatigue, he came home by bus and had no strength left to walk. How it breaks, the guy trudged along sluggishly, stretching the stiff and wooden muscles of his neck. He's still not used to the punching bag and can only hit it once due to its strange trajectory. But if he had done it in one day, it would not have been interesting. There were still 2 months ahead, the guy thought when he saw a familiar silhouette. Mom, he called cheerfully to the tired but beautiful woman. What is she doing here so late? Her caring son worried. She just met with friends, she quickly answered. Okay, the guy thought, but sniffed suspiciously. It seems like someone was eating barbecue, he said cheerfully, not understanding what was actually happening. Apparently the smell had soaked into his clothes. The mother was confused. Why was he returning so late? Asked his loving mother. He has a match soon? A lot of training, the son answered contentedly. The match is so soon, she took his arm. Didn't he want to pass the exam for a coach's certificate first? And that's it, the son answered confidently. It won't work that way. You won't be able to rest properly when the match is just around the corner, the loving mother grumbled. It doesn't matter. He'll do it his way anyway. At first, she couldn't talk about it at all, but it seems she changed her mind. He looked at the tired woman. Everything will be fine, Mom. Who cares about him? Let them beat him there, the mother grumbled. Oh, chicken, they pass by the street food. Maybe take one, said the cheeky son. After all, he soon had a mass that reminded him of his mother. There is no need to lose weight anymore. You can take one at a time. He ran briskly to the counter. He already has a healthy forehead, but he's such a fool, she looked after him. It looks like I should buy some perfume, she thought, sniffing her clothes. Everyone was given sheets of paper. The examiner's voice was heard. Then begin. Hui So began the test. He came back, he told Taeyong. When he arrived, he felt even more exhausted than after training with him. I failed it well, he asked mockingly. It will be clear in a week. The athlete scratched the back of his head. Okay, let's focus on training. The strength training fan was looking forward to winning the bet. Huiso demonstrated excellent skills. The punching bag was now much easier to handle. How are you? The lazy master has returned from lunch, Taeyeon noted well. But he is too sensitive and sluggish, he said. Nothing can be done about it, since he is at this stage, the old master grumbled. There are two most difficult stages in weight control. The first is dehydration. When water is lost, a person becomes weaker, no matter how strong he was before. The strength will return later, but now he needs to strengthen his muscles properly, and this is exactly the stage he is at. You can't take creatine. It causes water retention in the body. You need to maintain a diet, and the loads only increase. But how hard he tries, Taeyeon admired. It must be a pleasure to teach him, the old master grumbled contentedly. He keeps his word and gets stronger with each training session, and listens much better than expected, the master said. He is still young. We need to keep an eye on him to prevent a nervous breakdown. The old master strictly punished. Taeyeon happily ran to the exhausted fighter. Everything will be fine, he said, although he himself was the main cause of stress, the master thought. Dead, he's definitely dead already, Hui. So sprawled on the floor, 5 days before the match. Give me some salt, his inner beast growled. Now he hated everyone who ate tasty food. Even though they had cut back on the workload, he was still training with the bands and his hands were shaking like a longtime alcoholic's. It's impossible to count how many times he went to the toilet. His urine is cleaner than alpine mines. He checked into the medical center to make sure he was okay. Taeyeon knows how to keep his body in shape, but the training was still exhausting. Soft footsteps were heard nearby, and Huiso looked up tiredly. Cooling off, inserted a hairpin, a cheeky thorn. Look who's talking, he answered rudely to the sweet girl who was worried about him. He was really angry, Yujin thought, but she understood his state perfectly well. She waited a minute for him to realize what nonsense he had said. Whew, that's true, the guy muttered with dry lips. Now they had switched places, and he himself felt what it was like to lose weight intensively. Here she threw a bone, a small bundle, onto the ground like to a mad dog. It will help satisfy his hunger for a while, said the thorn as he unwrapped the package of nuts. The small nuts, and even carefully peeled ones, were appreciated by the daring guy as a gift. Since she still hadn't gone home, she was sitting in the break room and chattering, he imagined. Give it back if you don't want it, the thorn said sharply as always. But the guy quickly swallowed the entire contents. I don't feel anything, my hungry and exhausted body rebelled. But thanks for your concern. He managed to smile with lips chapped from dehydration. Nothing special. The girl waved it off. She gave away the rest as usual. The cheeky guy grinned weakly. Oh, she felt embarrassed. What a blockhead. The girl became embarrassed and blushed slightly. It doesn't matter, she answered sharply and turned to run. Let's have dinner after the match, he suggested after her. What else? The thorn muttered and quickly retreated. It's so cute to be angry, the simple-minded guy laughed, not understanding the reasons at all. It's hard to even laugh. It's time to go home. He slowly rose to his feet. Who could be calling at such a time? He felt a vibration in his pocket. Yes, Dad. He picked up the phone with anxiety. His father didn't call without a good reason. What happened, he asked after they exchanged greetings. Where is he now? Everything inside him felt cold and clenched. He heard Huiso in intensive care. He rushed into the hospital, forgetting about his fatigue and exhaustion. He was so worried and in a hurry. Patient Lee Kak-wook, he shouted throughout the emergency room. What are you yelling about? My father's familiar voice called from behind, cheerful as always. Someone might think that he is already dead, grumbled the father. What a disgrace, he said about himself, sitting on the bed bandaged like a Hindu. What happened? That his son showered him with a barrage of questions? Quiet down. There are other people here too, his father reassured him. It doesn't matter now. The caring son dismissed all objections. Wait, what kind of clothes are these, he noticed, his father's unusual robe. He left today in a shirt and trousers, Huiso noticed, and suspicions crept into his head. Let's talk somewhere else, my father said heavily. He clearly didn't want to tell, but there was nothing he could do about it now. They sat down away from people, in a quiet place where they could talk calmly. What happened to your last job? Asked Hui. So, the market decided. He knows how it happens, his father smiled. And that's why he went to the construction site, the son realized. There are unpaid debts. You can't be unemployed, the father answered reservedly. In a few years, everything will settle down. Don't worry, he reassured his son. But how could he not be worried if they were in the hospital? Another terrible guess crept into his head when he compared the past and the present. Mother also works, Huiso's heart sank, his father admitted correctly, in a restaurant. Why didn't they say anything? The loving son was upset. Forgive me, he said to his father. Why all of a sudden? What kind of regrets? The parent was surprised. For so many years they paid for his coaches. All parents do that. He has no talent, and sport is not for him. He should have left earlier, he muttered. His grandmother told him that he needed to leave, but his parents insisted that he continue studying, and now the family's in debt. They believed that once the expenses were recouped, life would become easier, Huiso recalled. But he still failed. I want to become someone my parents can rely on, the guy blurted out. Li Huiso, his father interrupted his tirade angrily and sternly. They didn't do this for him to whine now. Or maybe he thinks that it would have been better if he had made a different decision. The father got angry. They didn't follow anyone's whim. It was their conscious decision, the father answered calmly. No one will blame him regardless of the results, especially since he was a schoolboy before and could not make such decisions. Son, there is nothing special about us. Every person faces their own difficulties if he puts a strong and warm hand on his shoulder. It's part of life's journey, lack of money, trauma, and everything that hasn't happened yet. Everyone is healthy, and they have a responsible son. One day, all the financial difficulties will also be resolved, the parent confidently stated. Live with pride for your family, he said, and Huiso almost cried, a bitter lump rising in his throat. He raised his hand to his face to brush away involuntary tears. The last thing he needed was to burst into tears like a little girl. How's your head, he asked, calming down. He thought he wouldn't ask anymore. He answered, my father, and they bandaged him. He looked into the phone camera. Mother is probably going crazy, said the boy. Don't worry, father will soon go on a business trip to the countryside, the parent reassured. Enough about that. He has to study tomorrow, go home, no one is dying, put him out to his father. There's nothing to be done anyway, the cheeky guy sighed. He asked where his mother worked. It would be better not to go to her place. She would be embarrassed, his father warned. I'll watch from afar, since I've already learned about everything, answered the loving son. If you're ready, go now. Your shift will be over soon, his father told him. Huiso managed to catch her at work. What are you thinking about, friend? Don't you want to go home? Her colleague asked an older but still beautiful woman. The loving son looked out the restaurant window from afar, his heart bleeding, but he could do nothing. Mom is working hard again for his well-being, he reproached himself. He works so hard at work, but at home he doesn't show it at all. The guy was angry with himself. Just wait a little longer, dear mother. He clenched his fists. He was sure to win this match. Deep inside, he was burning with hellfire. The next day he worked for 10 men, filled with cold rage. The blows exploded in dry pops on the training pads. The trainer could barely keep up with him. A blow, a dodge. Huiso moved like a clockwork toy without losing the sharpness of his movements. He saw all the blows that flew at him and easily dodged them. Bam! Followed by a powerful counterattack that almost knocked out the assistant. Why did he get so worked up? The old master noticed the change in his mood. Young shrugged his shoulders, wondering himself, just yesterday, he was whining and complaining of fatigue. Don't overexert yourself, Hui. So, the match is just around the corner, the unshaven master shouted at the impudent fighter. It's not clear how this happened, the old master noted with satisfaction. But the guy not only became morally stronger, he also began to move with minimal effort. He monitors Taijun's timings, or rather, even reads them, the old master analyzed. Excellent, he grumbled contentedly. The boy is developing. Bam, the glove on Taijun's hand flew far away from the powerful blow. Show me what this crazy guy can do, the unshaven master grumbled to himself. On the day of the weigh-in, I joyfully raised my hands when the scale stopped at 70.5 kilograms. The stocky Japanese also passed the weigh-in without any problems. Stir down, they took a stance. The Japanese looked shorter, but more massive accordingly. He looks impressive, the cheeky guy noted after examining his opponent. Maybe it's because he doesn't need to lose weight that much. Watching from above was even more interesting. For the first time, he was fighting someone shorter than himself. There's just one problem. His gas tank is leaking. Suzuki grinned terribly and muttered under his breath. Do you think your opponent is a punching bag or something? Or something crazy, said the cheeky guy. Luckily, the Japanese man didn't understand a word of Korean and stared blankly at Huiso. That was it. The referee separated them in different directions, ending the stare down. Huiso looked to be in top form and looked confidently at his opponent. The abnormal person feigned shyness and modesty. Why are you picking on him? Sung-hoon asked the impudent guy who started it, but he justified himself. What did he do? Asked the coach, grinding his teeth and muttering. Giving me goosebumps, Huiso said. He really is as strange as they say about him. It seems he doesn't care who's in front of him as long as he can be beaten, the boy thought, and was grateful for that. Because this will definitely not happen on the day of the match. He will be able to focus on destroying the opponent. Good shots. Now it's time to rest, Sung-hoon told him on the day of the match, after warming up in the locker room. The cheeky guy sighed with relief and sat down on the bench. He was completely calm. What are you thinking about? He's become so quiet today? The unshaven master asked him. For once, the lazy master paid him attention. Unusually, the guy quipped. Your tongue is your enemy, the coach grumbled. Nothing of the sort, the cheeky guy replied. This fight will prove his worth as a fighter, he reflected on the old master's words. What is its real value, the daring fighter asked himself. The boy raised his finger up meaningfully, the master thought. What an impudent fellow. Nobody likes spoilers, said the cheeky guy to the lazy master. You're acting as brazen as always. But without spoilers, it's more interesting, the unshaven master agreed. We're waiting for your performance, he grumbled contentedly. 10 minutes, interrupted their assistant organization, their exit. Let's have some beer and fried chicken after his victory, said the unshaven coach. The master will treat you. The impudent fighter agreed and smiled. In the blue corner, star newcomer Lee Hui-seo is greeted with a loud ovation by the crowd as the hosts commentate on the match. This time he has a tough opponent. He has 7 wins under his belt in the lightweight division. In the red corner, a living Mitsubishi Suzuki engine, wearing a Hanny mask, enters the ring. He always fights brutally. The match lasts 15 minutes. There's enough time. Don't get into trouble. The more skirmishes there are, the calmer you need to be, the unshaven master advised. Go ahead, make a cutlet out of him, he wished the fighter. If you fail again, you won't see any more contracts, Suzuki, his mustachioed coach reminded him. The fighters came to the middle. The referee called them, and they stood opposite each other. They are both so different. It's surprising that they are in the same weight class, the presenters talked. Suzuki won't have an easy time in this fight, but who knows? He's knocked out opponents bigger than Li Hui. Moreover, the Japanese has much more experience in fighting than the newcomer. Matches of physical strength versus experience, the leading commentators discussed. The referee gave the command to fight, and both fighters began to move in a circle, studying each other. Suzuki opened the fight first and landed a direct hit on Huiso's guard. He immediately went into a series of strikes, judging the correct distance. Tall Huiso had to quickly duck under heavy blows. As soon as I bent down, a powerful uppercut was aimed at my head and flew past my chin by a hair. Huiso dodged with his upper body, saving his strength. The blows whistled, scratching the tip of the nose. Each one could be the last. With perfect timing, Huiso fired a straight left to stop his opponent. And then he immediately moved the attack downwards, adding a low kick to the shin. Suzuki's calf muscle went numb from the stinging blow. But the stubborn Japanese, on the contrary, took a step forward and attacked from above. A hand slid across the back of his head as Huiso moved his head just a little to avoid the blow. Using his footwork, the daring guy circled around his opponent. Both fighters demonstrated excellent defensive and offensive skills. Huiso watched the Japanese man closely, recalling their shared historical past. Mitsubishi drove forward like a tank with powerful right hooks. Strike, defend. He left no gaps for Huiso to counterattack. The Japanese fired a straight punch and immediately closed the distance between them. He kept trying to break through the daring guy's defense, but he diligently dodged all the blows. With each swing, the driven fighter got closer and closer to him. Until he finally hit the block with his sledgehammer, the hall exploded with applause. The powerful blow sent the daring guy flying back towards the net. Having driven his opponent into a corner, Mitsubishi began to rain down blows on his rival. Huiso leaned his body forward and rested his hands on the Japanese man's chest. With one movement, he pushed the striker away and walked out of the corner. But the stocky Japanese did not let go of him, also moving with the blow. "It's so much fun to beat people up," his inner voice went crazy. Huiso was pinned down again, and a hail of gunfire pounded his body. The Japanese man's mustachioed trainer got worried again, even though he had told the fighter to remain calm. The series of blows did not end. Mitsubishi was definitely in good shape, the commentators noticed. "Too dangerous," said Song-hoon. "The blows fly low," thought the old master. "Probably it will rain." "No, he just allows himself to be beaten," the unshaven master suddenly realized. "Look closely," he said to Sung-hoon. They both saw how well the guy was holding up. Like the swinging pendulum of a metronome, Huiso counted the strokes of the cylinders. The Japanese's strike, defense, and pistons were practiced on his blocks. The tact, the high consistency, the strong and weak blows, he felt them all. Suzuki was in full swing. Huiso counted the intervals and combinations. He waited patiently. Mitsubishi showed no sign of tiring and made ever wider swings, as if anticipating victory. He moved quickly and efficiently, like a professional, which is what it takes to make a read. The metronome froze in the middle of the beat, and now Huiso felt the right moment. A razor blow cut off the chin of the psychotic opponent. He stopped, froze as if he had been nailed to the floor, having received a blow he did not expect. And then I got a bad mark. My head jerked like a toy. The Mitsubishi leaned back as if its engine had crashed into a pole at high speed. "Here it is," the old master grumbled contentedly. He had been waiting for this moment for a long time. It all happened so quickly that the spectators didn't notice all the blows, but saw the stocky opponent fall into the ring. He held up well. The master praised the daring guy. It was lucky that he was throwing punches thoughtlessly, and it became easier to calculate him. Li Huiso asked for a standing ovation from the audience. The commentators chattered, asking if there was a more relaxed fighter. The cheeky boy turned his gaze to the madman below and brazenly pointed his finger at him. "No, no," he waved insolently. "Don't even think about getting up," he mocked his opponent. "Get up, we'll kill him. Get up," the voices in my head were shouting in tandem. Kill immediately." Mitsubishi completely went crazy from shock. "Get up," the referee ordered the Japanese man, who was hesitating. They stood opposite each other again, but now a completely different atmosphere surrounded them. This time, Li Huiso attacked first, confident in his advantage. Keeping his distance, he fired at the enemy from a long distance, using his height and speed. "Why are you standing there? Don't you want to come closer?" Huiso mentally asked his opponent. Or he had already given up. A powerful uppercut broke through the defense and removed the block. The one-sided fight infuriated the Japanese even more. Unable to withstand the shelling, he rushed forward, ignoring the possible consequences. "Excellent, that's a strike, catching the rhythm perfectly." Huiso countered with an uppercut to the jaw. "Let me get to know you better," the fighter thought. The strong neck absorbed the impact, distributing the damage throughout the body, but the blow was still painful. The Japanese tried to counterattack, but received a second blow, a right to the side. And the left finishing blow, even at close range, was not normal enough to enter into an equal exchange. He earned a second fall. If he gets another one, he automatically loses. The Japanese quickly tried to get to his feet, despite a severe concussion. But before he could do this, a sharp knee blow was already flying towards his head. The knee could have driven into his head and he flew back again. There was nowhere to retreat further. My back was pressed against the net, and the match took a mirror-like turn. Gritting his teeth, the crazy Japanese could only wait for the next attacks. A second flying knee strike to a stationary target sealed the deal. Huiso didn't give his crazy opponent a chance to respond, breaking his turtle-like defense. Each blow was heavier than the previous one. The daring guy hit with all his body weight. Having pinned him with his hands from below, Huiso moved the attack to the top, delivering a high kick to the head. Even with his defense up, the opponent was taking damage. The Mitsubishi's body skidded to the left due to the impact's momentum. As if that wasn't enough, his opponent froze in front of him. Huiso raised his hands and stood within striking distance of his opponent, mocking him. Kill, 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 quickly! The voices tormented the freak with anger. The cheeky guy smiled mischievously. He was in complete control of the battlefield. The raised hand shot out sharply, but Mitsubishi managed to dodge. He immediately tried to strike in a jump, stepping towards Huiso. A wide swing slid past the daring fighter, a couple of centimeters away. Of course he will dodge, the crazy fighter expected this. Here's a real punch. He fired a long straight right. Just in time at the last moment, Huiso simply moved his head out of the line of attack. Even such an unexpected trick didn't work on the sharp-eyed guy. The crazy one became worried. Huiso easily slid to long range, from where he could again deliver numerous blows with impunity. Hey, what nonsense, Hui. So looked contemptuously at the helpless Japanese man. No, he shook his finger again, making it clear that he couldn't do anything. The punctured fuel tank began to whistle loudly. Mitsubishi could not bear such a disgrace. At that very moment, he rushed forward without any plan or calculation, relying on blind chance. Huiso saw the wild, sweeping movements of the abnormal one clearly and deftly dodged them. The smile never left the cheeky guy's face. He was completely unafraid of his opponent's destructive moves. All attacks were failing. The stocky fighter panicked and couldn't understand why. Huiso dodged so easily as if he were dancing. His movements were flexible and elastic. A middle kick, with the speed of the wind, cut through the torso of the crazy Japanese. Huiso raised his leg for another middle kick, and his opponent cowered in advance. But instead, he simply made a few random movements with his legs to confuse his opponent. Now he's just having fun. He doesn't even let me take a step. The old coach grumbled contentedly. No, this was the third time the impudent guy mercilessly teased his opponent. So, the Japanese man screamed, and all his valves finally blew out. Don't fall for provocations, the mustachioed coach advised, but it made no sense. The stocky freak went to pieces, forgetting about protection and everything except his hatred. Huiso moved easily along the line of a wide, drawn-out strike. The counterattack penetrated the skull with a leaking roof, and the Mitsubishi received double damage. He fell for the third time, and Huiso was not about to let go of this opportunity. The Japanese man's battered face was swollen like a beetroot from bruises. Suddenly he felt a fear he had never experienced before. Hell was empty. All the demons had gathered here. They came for him. Huiso's elbow slashed from above. You're angry. Good. Get even angrier, thought Hui, so as he destroyed his opponent. He needs to feel with his whole body what it's like to be beaten half to death, the way he loves Hui, so chopped with blows. All this time, the freak was doing exactly this in the ring. The fight turned into a bloody massacre. Mitsubishi let go of his defenses and lay there completely stunned, his eyes rolling back in his head. The referee shouted stop, and the final hammer blow landed in the ring next to the Japanese man's head. Demon Huiso came to his senses. The fight was over. The referee covered the defeated fighter with his body. Lee Huiseo wins his next fight by knockout in the first round, and the commentators go crazy. A fighter who hasn't even spent a year in the ring has stormed into the lightweight division. Lee Huiso won the fight at 3 minutes and 38 seconds into the first round by technical knockout. Just look at these headlines, Taeyeon was scrolling through the newsfeed. How could the viewers not appreciate such a bright fight? Song-hoon had also changed and allowed himself to relax. He had never been like this before, the old master noted. It was unusual to see the always stern and picky eyebrow-twirling match winner. Excellent, the unshaven master heard the impudent guy's cry. What's already happened, grumbled the old master. The test results have arrived, answered the worried fighter. Pass, the confident guy declared. 2 wins out of 2. It seems it's time to look for documents and find out what the weather will be like, the impudent guy dreamed, not noticing how Song-hoon and Taeyong slowly moved away. The cheeky guy started calling his mother and chatting happily about his victory and future trips. What are we going to do? The coaches whispered conspiratorially. It's not his concern, the old master grumbled. I didn't think he'd get through, Taeyeon lamented. Huiseo didn't take into account that after the written test, there would be an oral and practical exam. In other words, he wouldn't be able to make it to Young Kun's match. What do they know about pain, Hui? So is sprawled among the ruins of a castle in the air. The dream of traveling abroad has just collapsed. What's wrong with him? He looks like a dead fish, asked Young Kun. Will it take a long time, his comrade reassured him. Sung Hoon dared to approach the athlete, who was disillusioned with people and life. Oh, mister, who ended up becoming the second coach, the impudent guy greeted, not hiding his envy and indignation. Of course, he himself is a fool, since he believed that he could do everything in 4 months, the impudent fighter whined. In any case, since Sung Hoon is busy, he is now entrusted to go to Yu Jin, the main slacker of the hall. The girl got sick, lives alone. There is no one to take care of her, the trainer explained. But why him, the fighter answered sourly. There are plenty of other guys. Go to Yu Jin, the other guys perked up, vying with each other to offer themselves as guardians. It is precisely because he doesn't want to that he has to do it, Song Hoon said sternly. Others will simply devour her. Since his match had just ended, he had nothing to do anyway, so he might as well go and unwind. Sung Hoon handed over the corporate card for expenses. Got it, the cheeky guy relented. Can I buy something for myself, he asked, and Song Hoon gave the go-ahead. The main thing is to bring the receipt. I'm counting on you, Sung Hoon saw him off, and the guy headed off to visit. The apartment is on the top floor, and the girl knows how to live successfully. The impudent guy envied. He came to visit a friend and greeted the concierge. This door, he quickly found his bearings with the address in his phone and rang the bell. Someone got tired of living there. A sick sparrow crawled out. What a look. At least she could have combed her hair. The cheeky guy said hello. Ah, the alarmed sparrow defended himself. The girl did not expect to see him outside the door at all. She slammed the door loudly right in front of his nose, and the mouse hid in its hole. This is how she receives guests. The tactless guy grumbled while she was going crazy. Trapped in her own home, the girl was breathing heavily. Was he following her? The little gray mouse squeaked. No, it was just Song Hoon who gave him the address and told him to check it out, the guy explained. Why didn't you warn me? She squealed angrily. Didn't Song Hoon call her? The guy weakly justified himself. So what if the house is a mess? He came for nothing, the guy grumbled, and she told him to shut up, thinking about how to reduce the scale of the disaster. They said she was sick, but she was the one causing all the noise. The cheeky guy grumbled at the door. Come in since you've come. The sick gray mouse ruffled his feathers. Don't look around. Don't look under your feet either. It's better to gouge your eyes out, grumbled the embarrassed mouse. Oh, familiar methods. He assessed the mountain of unwashed dishes covered with a towel in the sink. Don't go to bed yet. Eat well. But the mouse was in a hurry to burrow into a warm nest. Even when you're sick, you need to move and eat, insisted the cheeky guy, asking where the portable table was. Behind the kitchen, the mouse muttered, she was so weak that she had no strength for barbs or embarrassment. And he loves to eat, the sick cutie noticed, watching him gobble up the porridge he brought. While she was watching, her stomach also began to rumble. Now she was behaving so quietly, Huiso smiled. The little mouse slowly brought the spoon to his mouth and began to eat. In other circumstances, it would have bristled with thorns and would not have even let him cross the threshold. He was, of course, thinking of having lunch together, but who would have known that they would eat like this? The cheeky guy remarked, and the little mouse also smiled sweetly. He asked the girl how long she had been ill, and she said that 3 days ago, yesterday was the worst. Wait, that means she hasn't washed since then. That's why she has a nest on her head. The impudent guy took advantage of her lack of weapons. But she washed herself, just smell it. He theatrically plugged his nose, although the aroma of chocolate and cherries intoxicated him. Even more exhausted because of the blockhead, the girl fell back on the side of the bed, her eyes closing on their own. But it's good that someone visited her, the sick mouse said in a moment of weakness. It's just a pity that it was him, but it will do, she returned all her barbs to him. I saw the match, the girl muttered. That's true, the guy forced a smile. Even when she was sick, she wasn't looking at me. Leave it, she said softly. Well done. She sincerely congratulated the athlete. The fight surprised her. She knew he wasn't bad, but this was on a completely different level, the mouse shared. It's so unusual to hear compliments from her. It's even awkward, he scratched the back of his head. She's definitely sick. Was the tired mouse surprised by such impudence? Why would she do something like that? The girl asked sarcastically. However, she has something to say, the cutie looked away shyly. She really did think he was an idiot, the sweet girl said harshly. Such directness made even the impudent guy freeze to the floor. These are some statements, Huiso paused, thinking about how to respond. In principle, she didn't really hide her attitude. Even a stupid person would have guessed. Oh, really? The girl showed little remorse. But since she confessed, it means everything is not so bad at the moment. The guy cheered up. At first, she thought that he was taken unfairly. So he does whatever he wants and acts like a self-centered piece of ass, pinned Huiseo. But it turned out to be something completely different. Her voice became timid and soft again. Still, he has skills and hard work, and his self-confidence is justified in places. Although he is still a boastful peacock, she continued. No, since you are praising. Go on, the impudent guy insisted. I'm sorry, the girl said meekly. Come on, the athlete waved it off. This will only ruin their relationship. She did it not to amuse his vanity, but so as not to feel worse herself. The sick mouse mumbled weakly. What's wrong? He asked when the mouse finally lost all its strength. His firm, cool palm rested on her forehead. She thought for a second. So good. What is he doing? The hot mouse asked languidly as he touched his forehead for comparison. Stop grumbling. He lightly slapped her on the forehead, turning on the caring boyfriend mode. It seems like she's getting worse. She's been torturing herself so much before, and she's still sick, Huiso realized. Heavy workloads, strict diets weaken the body, which increases the risk of illness, 2 matches in less than a year, meetings with fans, etc. It wasn't easy for her, Hui, so gently took her arm and helped her up. Take the pills, he gave her an antipyretic, and the hot cutie didn't argue. He softly wrapped the little mouse in the nest, and the girl quickly fell asleep. He looked at the cute little nose sticking out from under the blanket. Now it's time to tidy up the kitchen and living room, the guy decided. Idiot, she squeaked his name. Li Hui So, and the guy listened. Still not asleep, he asked. Thank you, the sick mouse whispered quietly. I don't hate you anymore. He heard honest words. The level of relations increased from negative to neutral. Although he is still a fool, she added with a sweet yawn. Huiso smiled. Even in his sleep, he says the same thing, which means he speaks sincerely, he realized. Having completed his duties in the kitchen, he wiped the sweat from his forehead. Well done on this part, said the caring guy. The forbidden door, the room of a lonely girl, rose before him. To be or not to be? That is the question, the impudent guy thought. She locked it securely. There can be no doubt what is there. He scratched his beard. Be that as it may, he took the risk of opening Pandora's box and looked inside. The wardrobe was full of unwashed clothes, a real pigsty. The 23-year-old guy who lives with his mother was horrified. It's impossible to tell the clean from the dirty. Everything is mixed up. He assessed the scope of work. I'll wash everything. Having finished his business, he returned to the hall, quite tired of household chores. They were just looking for him. One of the coaches called him. What had already happened surprised Huiso. Blow quickly to the master. There is a high-ranking guest who has come to see you, the athlete was informed. There were a couple of things to do, so I dropped in for a minute. The whole X1 director was being disingenuous. Why are you frozen as if you've done something wrong? The bearded old man asked. No, I'm just surprised the director came in person, the athlete apologized. He came to personally discuss the contract with the athlete, but the unshaven master insisted on being nearby. This is some other contract. The guy rubbed the back of his head in confusion. He didn't really study at school. The talk is about changing his current contract, the cunning director stated. SFC wants to take him over. The director stunned the guy with such a powerful statement. That he didn't look very surprised, the cunning director stated. They suddenly contacted each other and demanded Huiso for themselves, even though he had barely made it through 3 matches. But why didn't they contact them directly, the cheeky guy asked. Apparently they decided to act politely. After all, the organizations exchange many fighters. And yet he hopes that Huiso will refuse this offer. It is difficult even for home champions to survive in the SFC, and to attract the attention of spectators is also difficult. It's more profitable to stay here, said the director. He won't stop him from leaving, but he'll be glad if Huiso refuses. They make good money on him. Of course, the conditions in X1 will be better, the director promised, and the impudent guy pricked up his ears. A permanent salary of $8 million, plus a 100% bonus for a win. The fighter's eyes widened when the amount was announced to him. They have already discussed this issue with the old master, but only Huiso himself will decide. Then let's trust Master Sanguk, said the guy. Is there really nothing to say? The unshaven trainer was surprised. If he could, he would sign everything right away, the fighter admitted. SFCs are not only good for the money offers, but what about their reputation and prestige, which are important to them? Sanguk asked. They are the world arena. Any fighter as good as Hui, so will want to participate in it, the unshaven master insisted. The competition is very high now. There are a lot of fighters and they are exhausted to the point of losing their pulse. What's the prestige? The director objected. These are the words of the spirit of the old men. But what will the other fighters say about this? Answered the unshaven master. Opinions may differ. Just state your terms, the director suggested. The starting conditions were 10 million, and the same amount for victory. The director heard their demands. Isn't it too much, Hui? So looked doubtfully to offer such a salary to national level athletes. They really will have enough of this, I heard the surprised voice of director Hui So. It seems they are being cautious in front of him. The director discouraged the athletes. 12 million, and the same for victory. He stunned them with a new offer, raising the required rate. 12, the athletes muttered in chorus, not believing their ears. The total had grown by a third from the starting point. He will also introduce them to a sponsor so that they will receive about 30 million more a year, the cunning director suggested thoughtfully. Of course, everything isn't free. He'll get the money if he wins the match. But what if he loses? Huiso clarified. Let's make do with 10 for participation and 10 for winning. As Sanguk suggested, the director reasoned. They will still be the winners in any case. What was the catch? The old master did not believe in such generosity, but the director raised his hands, for now he could not reveal all the details. But now he is preparing for something, and he hopes that Hui So will become a part of it. The director narrowed his eyes slyly. But what is he talking about? Sanguk asked. The market will soon expand, but it's a risky bet. Everything will work out if everything goes according to plan, the director said. He couldn't say anything more, but they certainly had nothing to lose, the director assured them. And Huiso was already wagging his tail to sign while the master was thinking. They agree, the director heard, and beamed like a saint. It was not for nothing that he came here personally. Tomorrow he will send a rough version of the contract. The conditions are subject to change, so they will receive the final version after the match. The director said goodbye politely, and Sanguk offered to walk him to the car. Huiso he addressed the athlete at last, and he listened attentively. Be sure to take care of your master. It is difficult to find such a person, he said. And even the old master was embarrassed. Of course, he will always be grateful to him, the impudent guy replied. Well, that's great. I expect new achievements from him in the next match. The director said goodbye. This is luck, the self-confident guy rejoiced. We will only find out whether we were lucky or not in the future, the unshaven master grumbled. Something's wrong. The naive boy was surprised. Something doesn't add up, the master grumbled. They wouldn't have offered such a deal if it wasn't beneficial to the association. The director is definitely not the kind of person who would miss out on profits. Although they don't know what will happen in the future, it's not clear how he will use the guy. Is he a bad person? The fighter asked. No, Sanguk shook his head. He certainly won't intimidate or pressure his athletes. Then there are no problems, the carefree guy rejoiced. He trusts so easily, the old master grumbled. Of course, he trusts the master completely because they have come so far together, the impudent guy grinned. He shouldn't be so trusting. Otherwise, he'll definitely be deceived, the coach grumbled. But did he have anything to deceive himself about? Asked Huiso. Anything is possible, the old man grumbled. Which means he will still trust this time, the carefree guy answered. He had come so far thanks to the master, he could take a risk once, the boy flattered. Don't laugh, you fool! The master slapped the guy on the shoulder, as if his flattery could work. The trainer grumbled contentedly. Keep your mouth shut until it's official. If he spills the beans, there will be chaos in the team, the coach sternly ordered. We've sorted that out, the unshaven master grumbled. What about you, Jin? He asked, and the guy laid out the details. At this point, the old master let go of the impudent boy and took up the papers. The phone vibrated in my pocket. I love my master, the impudent boy sent him. The internal financier was jubilant. Soon he would receive a huge sum for the fight. And also the sponsor for just 2 matches a year, the cheeky guy was drooling. Climbing to the top is really not easy. He grew up quickly, the daring guy thought. But even if we put all this aside, there is even better news than this. Now the SFC turned their attention to him. He raised his hands in satisfaction. No matter how things turn out in the future, if he changes his mind, he could become the second fighter in the International League, along with young Kun. A golden ticket to the arena is every fighter's dream, and he got it in just 1 year. He's definitely established himself well here and can continue in the same spirit, the boy thought. Then he will pay his parents everything he has owed for so many years. A sudden call tore him away from his castles in the air. The Thorn Min Jin was calling him, apparently having recently woken up. He entered the room, the mouse squeaked energetically. Apparently she felt better. It's great that she feels better, he told her. The ferocious little mouse did not calm down. He did come in, the embarrassed girl screamed. I sorted out my things in boxes, threw out the trash, the guy answered calmly. After all, no one asked him to, the Thorn was angry. He also washed the panties and bras, hung everything up separately, he said in a casual tone. Crazy idiot, she squealed from anger and embarrassment. What's wrong with that? He was surprised. He didn't really look into it. She might not worry, he reassured the girl, but it only got worse. Why, he continued to squeak. For the umpteenth time, this conversation was leading nowhere. The impudent guy decided. Just get well soon, the impenetrable boy answered her. Maybe if I don't go to the gym today, I might as well die soon, the carefree athlete muttered. Hurry up, the match is about to start, they shouted to him from the hall as he picked up the delivery. The pizza and fried chicken arrived. A cheeky guy came galloping, and my friend was delighted. He quickly laid out the film on the floor, and now everything was ready for high-quality viewing. He's more worried about this match than about his own, Huiso said, and Young Hwan agreed, his heart pounding with excitement. In the blue corner is the undefeated Bob, the middleweight champion with a 12-fight winning record, Ricardo da Silva. In the red corner, a fighter with a considerable number of victories from Korea, Kang Young-kun announced the match host. Blue is ready, the referee pointed at the fighter, and Ricardo raised his guard. Red is ready, he asked the same thing to Young-kun, and he took a stance. Fight, the referee gave the command and the fighters began to move. Young-kun rushed towards Ricardo from the very beginning, and he missed the shot. Without slowing down, the Korean grabbed the champion and threw him into the ring. The teammates were jubilant. Yes, they shouted, keep it up. But the strong champion was able to get up and counterattack. Now Young-kun missed the blows. In the second round, he missed a lot, having lost his momentum in the first round, and the Korean was knocked down. How so? The team tensed up in anxious anticipation of the outcome. Young-kun lasted until the third round. Both opponents were breathing heavily. The champion looked exhausted and did not dare to attack the impudent Korean. Gathering his strength, he rushed forward to seize the initiative in this round. Ricardo made a pass to the legs and immediately closed in on his opponent. Young-kun had a hard time keeping his balance and not falling. He had lost a lot of strength during the last round. At the last moment, he managed to perform the throttle and squeezed Ricardo's neck. He quickly ran out of oxygen and slapped the mats. The match was over. The stands roared with the first victory of Kang Young-kun. Everything really was completely different, the daring guy assessed the fight. Both fighters are champions of their respective organizations at home, but in that arena, they are just contenders for the world title. This means that there are still many monsters there that are stronger than them. Renewing his contract with X1 was the right decision, Huiso realized after watching this match. He is still too inexperienced. There is no point in rushing. He needs to start by conquering the home arena, the guy decided for himself. The phone in the team office was ringing loudly, but no one paid attention to it. It seems like everyone is too busy worrying about the match of a fighter from their gym, the guy realized and went to answer. Tim Atak, Huiso introduced himself, and the voice on the phone asked why the coaches weren't answering. Today is Young-kun's debut match, the guy explained. Everyone is too absorbed in the match. He was asked how the match went, and his victory in the third round via chokehold was an impressive achievement. It wasn't all smooth sailing. He was really exhausted after 3 rounds and almost lost, the guy bragged. In any case, there is news for him, they told the impudent guy. It is possible to participate in the main match in September. It was clear that he was attacking, so he grabbed him. The strong Korean boasted of his victory. Huiso sipped his beer thoughtfully and remained silent, and Sung-hoon noticed. Why are you so downhearted since you received an invitation to the match? He asked the despondent boy. He had a good time in the States, the cheeky guy made a jab, but Sung-hoon brushed it all off since he was working there. And how are the American girls? Asked the cunning boy. They're very open. The always reserved coach blushed. So it's not that bad, Huiso realized. Scoundrel, let him tell you about the invitation. He poked the fighter in the shoulder. There's no exact date yet, the guy said. Has the opponent been determined? The bushy-browed coach asked him. And Huiso replied that it hadn't been determined yet, and that worried him. The choice fell on two fighters, but Pereiro was recommended. The bushy-browed trainer heard a familiar name. Harsh, yes, said the cheeky guy. He is number 1, and the other is Kim Ji-hyun, number 3. They are both strong guys. Sung-hoon frowned, and the boy became worried. Very strong opponents. Let's start with Pereiro. He has a disgusting character, the bushy-browed coach said. The oblique kick, the barn, the jumping elbow strike. All these techniques incapacitate opponents, and many fighters never return to the ring after them. He has a bad reputation among fighters because of doping, steroid injections, diuretics. He was caught with almost everything. Many organizations abandoned it after high-profile scandals. If the fight gets out of control, he risks not returning to the ring. Sung-hoon frowned. Kim Jo-yoon is no simpleton either. He's been nicknamed the guardian of his weight class, the bushy-browed coach continued. He is well-trained and is a merciless monster for beginners. Even in the pro environment, he has received many nicknames. Based on what I heard, Kim Jo-yoon will be easier, the guy asked. Everything is not that simple. This is the main event, Sung-hoon clarified. Jahan won most of his victories by decision. The guy is now even more confused. The judge's decision means that Jahan will hold out until the last round and score points, while the newcomer, who hasn't fought more than 2 times, will quickly give up. He needs to win the fight in 2 rounds, but no one has ever managed that. He's like an armored train, thought Huiso. In terms of painful moves, Pereiro is more suitable, but in any case, both need to be analyzed, the meticulous trainer advised. Watch the videos of their matches first, okay? Huiso sighed. Now he was even more worried. Even late at night, he could not sleep. His thoughts revolved around the upcoming match. He watched the video for several hours and still didn't decide anything. Both opponents were formidable for him. He should have chosen without thinking. Now he was only more confused, the guy sighed. Who is writing there at this late hour? He wondered and looked at his phone. The unshaven master decided to write to him, and when he found out that the guy was not sleeping, he called him. Sung-hoon told the old coach everything and that the boy couldn't make a choice. Let him not bother and choose the one he would like to fight the most, the master advised. Isn't that too presumptuous? Huiso was surprised. Trained athletes like him can rely on their instincts. Both opponents are not easy, and the master will be able to train him for any match. Or he doesn't believe it and thinks that they will let him lose. The old master grumbled discontentedly. The guy was able to laugh with relief. In that case, there was no point in straining myself, the cheeky guy decided. I wasted so much time on speculation, the fighter smiled. Then the answer lies on the surface. He already knew who he wanted to fight. Of course he chooses him, the brave fighter grinned cheekily. I'll go get the sword, the boy squeaked and ran after him. The boy picked up the ball and saw a grown man in front of him. He sat there with a stern frown, as if he were a complete stranger. Dad, the boy beamed, recognizing a familiar face. The man who was pretending to be a passerby. Son, the long unshaven man suddenly smiled tenderly. And he was early, the boy noticed. He came early to see his progress, his father said. He was able to play much better and was even able to score a goal, the boy boasted. It's a pity he didn't see it, the man said. Never mind, he'll show him next time, the boy promised cheerfully. Give me the ball, the boy's friends shouted, and he replied that it was time for him to run. He will be here and look after him, so let him play as much as he wants, the father promised. His father is so scary, the boy's friend said. But the son denied everything. His dad can't be scary. The man looked at his son with satisfaction. He loved him very much. The boy had really grown a lot. Another person noticed his gaze. Why is the phone switched off? The bald, bearded man asked him. We haven't seen each other for a long time, the fighter said reluctantly. Costa? The athlete grumbled. How did he know where he was? He asked his ex-wife, but his manager simply answered. Was the old man following her or something? The fighter was indignant. You should have just picked up the phone, the bearded man replied. He sees his son once a month. Couldn't they meet another day? But the bald, bearded man insisted. An invitation from X1 has arrived, the manager said, and the fighter grimaced dismissively. September, Korea, Seoul. The opponent liked him more than the other guy. He could accept the offer first, but the fighter turned up his nose. Another match as a substitute, I refuse, grumbled the unshaven athlete. He has already won 9 fights in this league. They are constantly giving out some newcomers. Why put up with this? The fighter was indignant. It's all because he did crazy things before, and other organizations abandoned him. He simply did everything for the sake of victory. The stern fighter frowned. How lucky for them to be broke. He looked thoughtfully at his son. You know how much children demand, the athlete grumbled discontentedly. Let him stop using doping and start respecting his opponents. He will get more offers. There are other details to the proposal, said the bald-bearded man, but the fighter still waved it off. He won't fight. Even if he is given a title fight, in case of victory, the bald manager asked slyly. Pereiro snatched the sheets of paper with the contract as soon as he heard these words. That's great. That's where we should have started, Pereiro rejoiced. This proposal interested him. Juan, he called his son to come over for a minute. He really wanted to share this joy. See you at that cafe. After he talks to his son, the fighter threw down the papers. All the papers are now like they've been chewed up. The bald manager was indignant. Soon he will become a champion, the father said to his son. Dad will become the strongest, the boy rejoiced. Yes, and he will become the son of the strongest fighter who lifted the boy into his arms. They both laughed and fooled around for a long time, rejoicing at this news. I give up, Huiso wheezed in pain, and he began his intensive training again. I just pressed it, and the bastard is already clapping. The blond guy was indignant. He had almost used his technique. Why waste time? The athlete was cunning. How is he going to fight high-ranking fighters? The trainer was indignant. I'm knocking to learn faster. The fighter waved off carelessly. And what to do with this lazy, insolent fellow? The blond trainer wondered. Let's do it this way, he suggested to the impudent guy, and Huiso pricked up his ears. Once, if he beats him once, the coach will buy him lunches for a whole month, the blonde challenged. Freebie! The daring fighter's eyes sparkled at such offers. A month of free lunches, in the off-season, when you can gain weight, the impudent guy calculated all the benefits. Excellent, the daring fighter jumped to his feet. Now he was fired up for training. The blonde frowned. The changes in the guy were too noticeable. Huiso looked only forward with the gaze of a true killer. Great, now he sees his strength of spirit, said the blonde coach and responded in kind. The blonde master started first and moved forward. He leaned lower, aiming for the cheeky boy's legs. Capture, he understood, but the daring fighter did not have time to react. Damn, he realized when the trainer's hands reached for his neck. A trick, he was aiming for the neck. The trainer's hand fell below the back of the head. In that case, he would repay in kind. Huiso also entered the flame with the blonde. The daring fighter's foot slid and caught the blonde under his supporting leg. With his other hand, the daring guy slid under his opponent's leg, and he easily lifted it into the air and then quickly threw it in one motion. Having firmly slammed the trainer onto the mat, he pressed him down with his body from above. The blonde lay calmly. He gave the initiative to the fighter when he grabbed his hand. He was surprised by how quickly he moved to the ground. Huiso was in a hurry to complete the move and take control of his opponent. The naive one was too hasty and didn't secure his legs. The trainer grinned and threw his leg over the fighter's back. He made a turn, trapping his arm tightly between his legs and going into an elbow lock. In the blink of an eye, the daring athlete found himself at a grave disadvantage. Damn, he changed the position of his hand in a second. I need to get out, the guy decided. The trainer pinned his arm with his foot and took control of the fighter's other arm, preventing him from getting up. What a pity, the blonde coach grinned. He did everything too quickly. He really is good, the cheeky guy admitted. Let him go now and they can talk again. The motivation of the award alone is not enough, the coach said. He must feel the pain of the reception in order to avoid it even more vigorously. We had a great conversation. Let's play like this next time, said the blonde guy as he said goodbye. Good job, the meticulous Sung-hoon praised him as the boy stood up. I saw it myself. It's not very good, the guy muttered. In fact, everything was fine. Sung-hoon calmed him down. He couldn't do anything, he said. Almost overpowered Lee Soo with his fourth dan in jiu-jitsu praised Sung-hoon. He didn't even manage to beat him once. He was grieving about the missed opportunity, a daring guy, not knowing that most people can't even knock down a coach. He was able to do this even when he was being attacked. The man with the thick eyebrows noted to himself. Lee Soo has the same physique as Hui, so even if he couldn't defeat the fighter, only a few in this weight class can do it. Perhaps it was because of his previous training in Korean wrestling, Sung-hoon thought. This sport is quite rare, it is difficult to master, and few people study it. You could say that this is part of Huiso's unique skills, a special set. He only lacks experience and an understanding of how to properly use everything he already knows. His impressive growth, the bushy-browed man noted. Sung-hoon clearly remembered something important and changed the topic. Tomorrow he will be tested for doping, people from the association. Pereira will be tested too, asked the impudent guy. I have no idea. It's just a random test, the bushy-browed trainer shrugged. It's a shame the guy was upset. he definitely wouldn't have passed it. But something is worrying. The supplements he takes don't contain doping, the cheeky fighter asked. Their team has never been caught doping, so there's nothing to worry about. He wouldn't fail because of fried chicken, the athlete chuckled. Of course, what nonsense, the meticulous Song-hoon dismissed, and only then realized the scale of the crime. Ha ha, the cheeky guy scratched the back of his head awkwardly, thinking that it would work. It didn't work. The meticulous eyebrow sticker looked at him intently. He ate chicken, the meticulous coach stated rather than asked. The boy turned away. The meticulous coach lost his temper when he asked again, and beads of sweat appeared on Huiso's forehead. Lee Su, he saw the blonde boy. How about some more training? The torture of lectures from Song-hoon looked worse than suffocation. At least the soy one was tasty, Sung-hoon asked calmly. But he ate it in a spicy marinade. The naive guy easily fell for the trick. Could it really be that the spicy marinade means a suspect is getting confused in his testimony? Noted the meticulous Song-hoon. The match was announced a long time ago, and he still eats such food. Heavy hands fell on the shoulders of the impudent guy. Why exaggerate? He ate only a small piece. The daring fighter stepped back. If you tried it, it means you've already succumbed to temptation. The chicken is good, and there's also a marinade. It's good to eat it on the sly. How can I lose this weight? Song-hoon exploded. 3 pieces in total. Hui-so ran away. 3, just now there were only 1. Now the number's growing. The meticulous trainer drove after him. Stop right there. We'll have to skin him to make him lighter, Sung-hoon yelled. Everyone who works with this guy is going crazy, Lee Su noted. And the one who suffers the most is Sung-hoon, Taeyong agreed. Hui-seo couldn't escape retribution. Sung-hoon made him sweat until he was completely exhausted. Keep chasing him like a dog and make sure he doesn't eat anything. The meticulous trainer frowned. Hui-so was puffing and puffing during his morning run. The last few days before the match had not been easy. Inhale and exhale 3 times, keep running. Sung-hoon was riding next to him on a bicycle. Shadow boxing, he said sternly, and Hui-so stopped to wave his arms. Great, now from the beginning, grumbled the stern trainer, who had not yet forgotten about the chicken. Hui-so caught his breath in the shower, the only place besides the toilet where he could rest. His diet became meager. Fish, rice, sprouted greens, no salt or spices. Again, he looked at the dry and tasteless food under the strict supervision of Song-hoon. I don't like something. The thick-browed man frowned, and Hui-so quickly answered, No, sir. Only 2 weeks have passed since the beginning of this week. Now he didn't just think about it, the eye-browed man. Pereiro is unusually developed, because in order to close their weight difference, the guy would have to gain up to 82. In addition, he needed to maintain the same fluid balance in his body. He does not eat carbohydrates or salt. When animals are stressed, they become aggressive. Humans are not far behind. They become sensitive, but can cope with it. Even though the guy had never objected before, even so, Song-hoon wouldn't regret it. Get some water, said the cheeky guy. Stop sitting around, you useless coach. And Sung-hoon immediately regretted praising the brat. He went to the water cooler and the lazy repairman called him. They are resting after training, Sung-hoon reported to the boss. True, they will be ready, he answered the lazy boss. What the impudent guy asked. What's up early in the morning? Prick up your ears, daring fighter. Pereiro arrived in Korea. The bushy-browed coach looked sternly at the fighter. He needed to prepare for the interview. It's good that we arrived on time. Song-hoon brought the cheeky guy for the interview. For the occasion, the boy dressed up in a suit and was now fiddling with his tie. The guy grumbled discontentedly at the uncomfortable suit. The bushy-browed trainer always answered him, Let's go. The bearded director was already sitting behind the podium, in the center, as expected. Lee Hui-seo arrived, cameras flashed, and the event attracted a lot of attention. Director Hui-so waved his hand, as usual ignoring all formal etiquette. Well trained, asked the director, and responded to the handshake. This is his first conference, can he handle it? The director asked. Hui-so answered that he will do what he has to, or maybe there are recommendations for him. No, he can do whatever he wants, just let him not swear. The director smiled. What are you saying he won't swear? The cheeky guy assured the director. Since he is so confident, he can sit down, the cunning director suggested. Everyone who was supposed to arrive had already arrived, but the opponent still hadn't arrived. Hui-so tensed up. The assistant approached the director and quietly whispered something in his ear. I ask for your understanding. The director made a statement. The athlete Pereiro is currently stuck in traffic and therefore is delayed. We began interviewing the participants of the joint event. A whisper went through the room. It seems that finding the way here is difficult, especially for foreigners, thought the impudent guy. But even 20 minutes later, the athlete did not show up, which completely infuriated the old director. That means there are no manners at all. No excuses will help here, the guy decided. The interviews with the other athletes had already ended, and the microphone was finally handed over to the daring athlete. Here he is, the great one. Everyone should fall down and glorify him, Huiso introduced himself. The first question, as if in school, was asked first. The first hand rose to compete. His past is not revealed, the journalist asked, and many judge him as a newcomer. What can the athlete answer to this? He started training MMA in July last year, and the match against Cho Woo-jung was his debut. Huiso confirmed his status as a newcomer. So he made his debut without going through the league. The journalist was surprised. At that time, Young Woo's opponent got injured, and the guy played as a substitute. So he trained for the first 3 weeks without knowing his opponent at all. The journalist was surprised. That's right, the guy replied, and gave the floor to another journalist. From the very first match, he manages to dominate his opponents and win in the first round. How does he train? The journalist asked. He had some kind of tactic from the very beginning, and he stuck to it, the cheeky guy replied. It's so simple, the journalist was surprised. So simple, the daring fighter rubbed his cheek, not knowing what else to add. The stream of questions did not subside, and they pounced on him again like piranhas. The guy is holding up well, despite the fact that this is his first conference. He doesn't cross the line, and he remains confident, the director noted. He certainly knows how to work the crowd and how to attract attention, the cunning director thought. The interview was briefly stopped because the one who had been long awaited arrived. Fighter Pereiro arrived at the conference as if he had just flown in, dressed in light clothes, as if he had just come from the beach. Sorry for being late. The manager apologized guiltily on his behalf. This is an outfit, the guy thought. But what could be done like this, he wondered. Huiso, a dark-skinned and bearded fighter, approached him. As if nothing had happened, he was the first to extend his hand to his seated opponent. Nice to meet you. Have a good fight, Pereiro's manager translated. The cheeky guy looked askance at this phenomenon, not rushing to react. And yet he decided to extend his hand for a handshake. But his opponent squeezed his hand tightly. Looks like a pretty girl. Nothing special, Pereiro muttered contemptuously. The translator was stunned, wondering how to translate this and get the message across. Let's give it our all, he smoothed out the rough edges a bit. Pereiro sat down as if he were the main guest here, and only now the real show began. He too was bombarded with a barrage of insignificant and boring questions. The fighter even yawned. He was so bored that he would have been better off sleeping in a hotel, he thought. Is anyone really concerned about his removal or other ridiculous rumors? He asked reporters. Why he agreed to fight a child or what the association offered him? That's what should really concern them, he said. But on the other hand, there is no secret about it. At first he really didn't want to, because of the big difference in age and experience. But Director Yang offered conditions that couldn't be refused, the director heard and thought, what a blockhead. For winning this match, he will receive a title shot. The fighter provocatively stated that he was playing his own game. The title fight will be next. What news? The guests were surprised. Please be sure to write about this. But first he will, of course, smear the brat's cute face. The director made a statement to quickly end the conference and save the situation before the madman said anything more. Wait a minute. Huiso didn't agree. Is the fight over already? He asked. He also had something to say. Before discussing the title shot, we first need to discuss this fight. The guy said he intends to win, so he's confident, the journalist asked. Why else would you take part in a fight if you weren't sure of its outcome? The athlete answered boldly. The opponent may be thinking about impossible dreams. Here's a suitable headline. Pereiro was unable to get the gold belt. The fighter was insolent. You think there's a chance, brat? Pereiro grabbed the microphone. We'll see when we fight. The old man has plenty of weaknesses, and he knows about them, the fighter said insolently. He's just trying to raise his profile, said the fighter in shorts. Everyone here knows it's a bluff. Oh, we need facts. They are here. The cheeky guy grinned slyly. How long can this wedge-headed guy last before he goes back on steroids? Huiso issued a prepared provocation. The stocky and experienced fighter darkened. The daring guy crossed the line. It seems no one has taught this brat good manners. I'll have to teach him some, replied the dark-skinned athlete. The swindler will teach manners, Huiso sarcastically said to those who don't know about his passions. Director Yang asked the guy not to be so cheeky and not to criticize his opponent. Nothing like that? Let him let his hair down, the impudent guy asked. Because seeing the old man's face, he would die laughing. A bottle of water flew past. Water splashed everywhere, and Huiso looked askance at the enraged old man. "I'll rip your filthy tongue out right here," the old dog growled. He himself is almost bald, but he barks like a young man. The impudent guy covered his ear. "Repeat, you bastard!" While he was still walking under the table, he was already turning people into invalids, Pereiro shouted. Huiseo made a statement to everyone regarding his opponent. He always fought like a beginner, but no one lasted longer than the first round. The only thing that distinguishes the opponent is his passion for doping. The daring young man concluded his speech by asking whether the aging fighter would be able to protect the remaining hair on his head from a younger opponent. At this point, they ended the press conference. The director was approached by an impudent athlete. He hadn't left yet. The cunning director was surprised. First, he wanted to make sure that he hadn't ruined anything. The impudent guy scratched the back of his head. If he was that worried, he shouldn't have started. The cunning director caught him out. The doping issue could impact the entire organization, Director Yang warned. "I'll be more careful in the future," the guy said. But since Pereiro let it slip about the title shot, this match will become a sensation. He did it so that no one would back down from their promises, the director said. "Don't worry," the impudent boy threw up his hands. He still won't let the director do it. That's how surprised he was. Because he will win the match, the impudent guy poked himself in the chest. How self-confident. The match was just around the corner. The cunning but satisfied director nudged him in the side. Of course, the cheeky guy nodded goodbye. "See you later," the director waved to him. Does the boy understand how difficult it is to be number one? Does he not think for a second about defeat? Looked at the running boy, the director. Events are taking their course. The match looks like it will be very interesting, but the guy is also demonstrating serious willpower. Now that the stone has been thrown, all that remains is to watch until the end. The cunning director grinned. How far this thirst for victory would take him, he wondered. The scale showed 73.2. "Great, there's still plenty of time left," said Song Hoon contentedly. "Let's continue to follow the diet." This time he had to lose a lot of weight, but the methods were simpler. They used salt baths, not a regular sauna, which robs you of stamina. "Hold on for another day," the bushy-browed trainer encouraged. Huiso nodded calmly. He had long been accustomed to the load. The sound of a fall was heard in the hall, and the impudent guy turned around at the noise. Taeyong was lifting Yong Hwan, but he simply slipped. The fighter justified himself as she struggled to get up. "The match is getting closer. Be careful," his coach worried and handed him a bottle of water. "Yong Hwan has a fight in the league next week," the bushy-browed master clarified. "Preparation takes a toll on nerves," Huiso noted. "He's already 26 and should be making his debut soon." Huiso remembered his friend's hesitation after the last fight. "Let's hope he doesn't miss his chance," Sung-hoon answered thoughtfully. "This guy isn't one to give up easily," his bold friend declared confidently. "We'll try our best." The daring friend showed his fist to Yong Hwan. He responded in kind immediately so that there would be no doubt about his mood. After weighing in on the day of the match, they did a little warm-up.